When we were in Geordie Shore, we were coerced into being and they meant that literally, and they'd wink. They'd come and tell us.
Geordie Shore star Holly Hagan.
Holly Hagan. Holly?
You're what? See? What the
Now, as a loving wife and mom, Holly inspires to help other mothers progress in their health and fitness with Team Fitty Mama.
Your dad left when you were quite young, right?
It's your first heartbreak, isn't it?
How old were you when your dad left?
When I was like 7. But every single time I would come back from seeing him, I would be in bed crying for 3 days.
So your childhood was quite riddled with bullies as well?
Yeah, they'd drag my hair out, kick me in the face. Every Sunday this would happen, and every Monday I'd be scared to go into school.
It's actually a tale of like a little girl, insecure, desperate to have friends, desperate to be loved, desperate for her dad's then boyfriend's attention. Then you went out to Geordie Shore.
I did get on the shore. I was in the hot tub on night 1 with my boobs out. I was a girl from Middlesbrough, and you're putting me in a house with these people and you're telling me it's going to be on TV and shown to the entire world. But nobody stepped in and thought maybe this 18-year-old girl's had enough to drink. Maybe we should stop her from going in the room. They were just rubbing their hands in that green room being like, this is fucking TV gold. Then it all came out, and then it was just an absolute shitstorm from then. We'll get into the nitty gritty. I didn't know this was going to be a therapy session.
Holly Hagan, welcome to the heart of it.
Thank you for having me.
How exciting.
Very excited to be here.
What was the question you just asked me before we started recording?
Where do you want to take this podcast?
It's a great story. So I used to say I can't talk about it too much legally because I told you I haven't seen my daughter for 5 years. So there's obviously some stuff going on with her mum. And so I wrote a book that's not been released yet. And it's from like my therapy sessions that I'd gone on in the last like 4 years.
Love that.
That I'd gone to obviously lots of therapy going like, what's fucking going on? We talked about ADHD. I was diagnosed as an adult with adult ADHD. I didn't get diagnosed and I haven't been diagnosed with autism. But I think we all know.
You think it's there.
But it's like 1,500 quid and it's like you don't get anything for it. Whereas ADHD, you get medication.
True.
So I was like, well, I want to get the medications, no point in this. But then I learned like all these I was like, oh, boundaries.
Yes.
Emotional regulation. It's like,
absolutely.
interesting. So you need to know what, obviously the autistic traits in me, I'll take things super literally. And I once time to my therapist, Julie, I said, there's no way that she meant that. She's like, okay, I hear you. Right? I hear you. But what if she meant what I'm saying that she might have meant? And I was like, if she meant what you're saying, my actions would have been really cuntish. And I was like, And so I had like, when I like say a series of realizations, I meant like proper realizations. Like one, and I know people say multiple breakthroughs. I had multiple breakthroughs at once. I am a man, I know, but multiple breakthroughs at once.
I don't hear this language from men very often, by the way. Like, this is good.
So I started having conversations with men and women, but men in the sauna, where they knew what I'd been through, which was a lot. And it doesn't mean I obviously did things wrong, but then what happened to me, like, I still had to go through it, even though some of it was obviously self-inflicted. So when I talk to people, certainly men, like the level of vulnerability that people would share with me when they knew what I'd been through or was currently going through, how I was still showing up in my day-to-day life, work-wise, business-wise, friends, family, etc., whilst those things were going on. The things that people would share with me, most people have told me things that they've never told anybody. And I realized like, shit, like this is like the therapy that I never thought that I needed. So when I came up with the podcast, and when a friend of mine, we came up with the podcast together, I was like, I want to get to the thing. How do you get to the heart of it? So I was like, this is the therapy that I never thought I needed. So I started asking people questions, and the book is obviously like a succession of quotes. So that's the short story of the podcast and what these conversations are about.
Love that though, because I feel like a lot of men just don't seek help or kind of just stay on the same path and don't kind of let anybody help them and teach them the actual frameworks, like you mentioned, of how to actually understand the things that have potentially gone wrong and how to fix them in the next relationship. So I think it's good to be open and talk about things like that, definitely.
It's tough, like you said they're men, but like all people, women as well.
Yeah. But
definitely stereotypical, but it is perceived as weakness. So if you go and talk about mental health,
I know,
or you go and say I'm struggling, as soon as that person says, oh, you're like, I think I'm weak.
It's really normal in America though for them to like go to therapy, and it like everyone has a fucking therapist in America.
Yeah.
Whereas in the UK everyone just drinks.
Yeah.
That's the normal thing. That's not seen as like you go down the pub every weekend and get smashed. That's a normal way to cope with your problems. You get therapy and people are like, oh, are you all right? And it shouldn't be like that.
It's true. Like in sauna conversations, like I mentioned, as soon as I tell people, females included, that I have therapy, they can't wait to ask you.
Oh,
If you're in a group full of people, you're like, yeah, my therapist said, people will be like, wait for the end and stuff, wait for the crime. So I hope you don't mind me asking, but you said about having a therapist. Like, has that helped you? I'm like, oh my God. Like, I tell a story actually. Julia mentioned my, like, say, main therapist who's been with me the longest. I did some therapy with another lady as well, and also incredible. She's ADHD, and she's proper, like, I say woo-woo, but like in this beautiful way. She's proper peace and love. And I am obviously the opposite of fucking peace and love. And so I had a situation like not that long ago, actually, probably, well, this actual year, early on this year. I had a person come into my life, professional capacity, and I was like, this fucking person. But I had to be around them. And it was triggering because I don't like to be, I don't know how to even describe it. So I got on the phone with her call, and she was like, you're mirroring it back to her. You know, you are bringing up stuff for her. And so you're being defensive, which is like, and like antagonizing it. And I was like, well, now, you know, and you're like, I was like, she went, I know. But if you could put it down, if you could, what lesson could you learn from this? What is the reason this woman's coming into your life? And I was like, fucking what? Right? And then she was like, I hear. But you know when someone keeps catching it?
Yeah.
You know, I hear you. I was like, right. You know when you get half annoyed, but half think she's definitely right.
Yeah.
And then she's like, what lesson can you learn from this? You need to soften to her.
Oh.
And I was like, absolutely fucking not. So obviously I slept on this. Saw this person again in the professional light that they were in, and I was having a shit fucking day. And I just was like tired of it. I was like, you know what? She just said, are you all right? I'm like, no.
No.
And I actually just told her, like, I didn't go into didn't like offload my fucking life at her. But I was like, this is fucking hard. I've been fucking put through this stuff. This has been fucking hard. And then now you're looking at me like this. Like, how about you just like not do that? But I softened.
How did she take that?
Yeah. I've never in my life been met with somebody with such understanding and validation.
Really?
I'm not kidding you. Like, this person's incredible.
Wow.
Like, and obviously I've got now, you know, had a professional relationship with them from early on this year to sort of literally a couple of weeks ago. I couldn't respect that person more. And it's like, that's the same person. I was like,
This is the thing. I think it's when people are just honest about things and what's happening that allows the other person to understand. And I think that's probably where that understanding came from, because most people just wouldn't be honest. They'd keep just being how you were.
but I didn't feel safe.
Yeah.
So my therapist was like, I hear you can't, how am I supposed to be safe in an environment where she's persecuting me? And so this was like this, but she's like, if you need to soften, you can't control what she does.
True.
You can only control what you do.
Oh.
And I was like, oh, damn quote.
It's awful when it's the truth.
It was, but you know, like, it was the truth.
The truth hurts sometimes. The truth's painful.
It was painful, but it it changed everything in that dynamic, which obviously massively actually affected my life in every way. So it's tough though.
It is.
So speaking of things that are tough, you've been through a lot.
I have, but do you know what? I've got a really great life now, and I think, like you were saying, you have to go through some of these things to get to where you want to be. Like, if I'd have just had an easy ride in certain circumstances and situations, my life would be completely different. And I think it's going through all of those things and working through them. And then now I'm able to use my experiences, the things that I did wrong, to actually educate people and to help people. So I don't look back at it now as like a bad thing. I have regrets, obviously, but if they didn't happen, I wouldn't be who I was. So here we are.
What is the biggest trauma that you think you've had that's also then the same trauma caused the biggest impact positively in yours or someone else's life?
Okay. So my biggest trauma was definitely my previous relationship before this one. And that fucking tore me down to absolute rock bottom. But you know what? I look at it now and I'm like, that was the best thing that ever happened to me. Didn't feel like it at the time, literally was the worst thing to ever go through. I hope no one ever has to go through that ever, because it was horrendous. But my God, the person that I came out of that from, and how I built my boundaries, we talk about boundaries again, how I built the boundaries that I never had, how I built the self-esteem that I never had, and how I clawed that back for myself. And I didn't need anyone else to do it. You know, sometimes you hear of people getting in relationships with new people and they make them happy again. That didn't happen for me. I made myself happy on my own. And I realised what the fuck I brought to the table, how much of a great person I was. Just going to blow my own trumpet here. But I am a good fucking person. I'm not going to deny that. And it just took that to realise that I was, and what I actually had to offer. And from that moment on, I was a completely different person. Took me 3 years of hell in the relationship to realise it. But the day that we finished, or even, you know, they say that women get over a relationship while they're in it. And that was so true. I would be writing in my notes all the pros and cons of being with this person. We're friends now. We're really good friends. Well, not really good friends, but we're friends now. We still have to work together. But I'd write down the pros and cons of being with this person. I would write down my pros and cons. I started reading books. I'd never really read books before, apart from like the Hunger Games. Started reading like self-help books. And genuinely, this was like January 2017. The day we broke up felt like a genuine weight off my shoulders. And then that year I was just living my best life. And then I met my husband literally 4 months later, because I then was the person who could receive love. Before that, I wasn't.
What happened for you to be the person who could receive love?
I think I realised who the fuck I was, that I was an amazing person, that I was a good friend, that I had really good qualities, and that I didn't need a man to tell me that. And for my whole life, even since being like fucking 12 years old, I have sought approval from men. And for the first time in my life, I wasn't. I was just like, I know this already. I know how great I am. I've had people all through being on Geordie Shore tell me, no one is ever going to want to marry you. You are a fat slag. To put it politely, for lack of better words, that is what people would say to me. You're a fat slag. No one's going to want to marry you. You've had sex on TV. You are tossed to the side, basically. And for so many years, I did believe that. So when anyone showed any form of interest in me, oh God, I needed it. I lapped it up. I wanted that. So then when I didn't get treated the best in those relationships, I would be like, well, I don't deserve it. I didn't think I deserved that love at the time. So I just accepted any behaviour from the man. And I just would allow myself to get treated like shit, to be spoken to like shit, to be gaslighted. Now I wouldn't dream of it.
What happened though between the breakup or maybe during the relationship that I'm sure there's not like one single like, and then I saw.
I saw the light.
But what obviously you're talking about getting that self kind of confidence in yourself to be able to feel that about yourself, which I'm sure millions of women around the world were watching going, how did you do that?
It's hard to really pinpoint one thing, because honestly, like, I do block out a lot of my bad memories. Like, you know, when you just block everything out that's a bit traumatic. I can't remember the majority of that relationship. Can't remember the majority of like my childhood neither, but that's another story. But yeah, I don't really know. I think it was just me actually sitting and reflecting on who I am as a person, doing the work, reading books. I'd never really looked at any kind of like self-help books before. And just knowing that other people, if all that somebody could say about me is that I'm a fat slag, then I'm doing pretty fucking good in the world, because I'm not a fucking bully. I'm not a nasty person. I'm kind to everyone. Yeah, all right, I might have had some bitchy moments or whatever. I'm only human. But I'm not perfect. And I don't need other people's approval. And I don't know how that came about. I think it was just I sat and constantly told myself this for such a long time. And I'm going to tell you now what got me over my ex. the Little Mix Glory Days album. Right? I'm being deadly serious. So I've drove to a boot camp. This is going off on a bit of a tangent now, but went to a boot camp, you know, like the 1 week boot camps you go on. And it's a fat loss boot camp. And you know, they take all your contraband off you. Well, I don't drink water plain. I might have a sip or two if it's there, but I drink Robinson's squash. So they wanted to confiscate my Robinson's squash. I was like, guys, you're expecting me to work out for 4 hours a day. I'm going to pass away if you don't let me have the Robinson summer fruits. So I drove 6 hours to this boot camp and I had to leave because they told me I couldn't have my Robinson squash. So on the way home, stopped at Asda and I bought the Glory Days album. Big Little Mix fan. I put this album on the way home. And I tell you now, if anyone's listened to that album, it's basically shout out to my ex. No more sad songs. There's a song about how he's like, how you basically his mother. And it was just like, yeah, this is me. And I'm telling you now, when I got out of that car 6 hours later, I all of a sudden had all of this power. And I know it's like, we do use music for therapy, but I'm telling you now, people will laugh. But if you listen to those songs and you're like, yeah, girls, you're so right. I don't need to be doing this. I am strong. I am independent. And I don't fucking need this man who's treating me like shit. And he was the one who ended it, thank God, because I don't know how much longer I would have stayed in that relationship, but probably a couple more months. And then when he left, it was just weight off the shoulders. I was all of a sudden a new person with boundaries. And when I went into my new relationship, which is with my husband now, he was like, he treats me the way I allow him to treat me. Because anyone will treat you like shit if you allow them to treat you like shit.
You get what you tolerate.
Exactly.
You mentioned there about validation. Your dad left when you were quite young, right? Mm-hmm. How old were you when your dad left?
So I don't really remember him ever living with us. So he started working away when I was like 4. He worked down south. And they properly split up when I was like 7. So between the ages of 4 and 7, he worked away anyway, so I didn't really get to see him. So I was with my nana a lot, who was amazing. Absolutely loved spending time with my nana. Got all of my good memories with her. And yeah, he properly left when I was 7. And then he was in a new relationship pretty much straight away. So yeah, I'd definitely say daddy issues were prevalent from a very young age.
Yes, obviously, as I told you earlier on, I actually watched you in Geordie Shore. I watched it.
You did? You said I was your favourite?
You were my favourite.
Was that the truth?
Yeah. I don't ever say that's bullshit to because then someone would ask you and you'd be like, oh no, I like this wine or this is like, no, like just fucking the answer's the fucking answer. Your hair would still look the same if we fell out. You know, people go, I don't like your hair anyway, that stupid top. I'm like, the top's the same.
Yeah.
They're still good looking, they're still the shit top. Those trainers are crap. Yeah, no. So you were. But then when Vin said about the production, he was like, oh, this is tell me about the research, what you told him about the dad stuff. It's like, makes a lot of sense.
That makes so much sense.
It's like so stereo-fucking-typical.
I know.
But then also, on the flip side of that, I've also got a daughter who I've not seen since she was 4, who's now 9. So I'm like, not for choice. And so it's like, oh gosh, like the impact that has any child, but certainly, as you know, 4 till 7, and then obviously on. Such a impactful age for a little girl.
It is.
All the belief systems and everything else. So obviously, apart from the absolute obvious, but what effect did it have on you to not have the relationship that I'm sure you wanted with your dad?
Mm-hmm. So I would say that I was pretty much like a daddy's girl. Like I loved my dad. And whenever I got to spend time with him, always had the best time because I wouldn't see him very often. So we never argue. He wasn't the one disciplining me. Like he was the fun parent. Like he got to be the fun dad. We'd go and do things. And I would only see him like 2 or 3 times a year because he did live down south and he had work and everything. And, you know, that's just how it was. But every single time I would come back from seeing him, I would be in bed crying for 3 days. So you can imagine, like, as a mother who knows that, you know, this guy's just left her and gone off and has started a new family and with another woman now down south. And I don't fully comprehend that. I can't understand the magnitude of that. But I'm coming home and crying over this man who hasn't been very nice to my mum. She must have been like, oh my God, this is brutal. But yeah, I used to cry over him so much. I used to put his aftershave in a little spray bottle and fill it with water and spray it on his shirt. And like, it was definitely It was definitely one of the, it's your first heartbreak, isn't it? That was my first experience of heartbreak at like 7, which is, a kid shouldn't go through that. And I think nowadays, because there's so much more talk about mental health, you'd probably put that kid in therapy. I would have went to a bit of therapy and we would have talked it out, and it might have been better. It might have had a different effect. But, you know, who knows what would have happened if my dad was there? They might have had a really turbulent relationship and I still could have had some kind of issues because their relationship wasn't great. Either way, I was never going to see a positive relationship, because if they'd have stayed together for me, I'd have seen a volatile one in front of my eyes. But they split up and I just had an absent parent and a mother who was really struggling. So either way, there was no way to win, unfortunately, because they decided to have me very, very young. My mum was only 23.
It's tough, isn't it? Yeah, it is great. Then you think, when you become a parent, you're like, what the fuck were they doing? Because my parents were also volatile. They stayed together for me and my sister. And then you become an adult. Well, I say no, you don't become an adult. When you become an adult, you're still an idiot. I was. You become like a mature adult. Maturer, not mature, maturer adult. And then you're like, what were they doing?
Yeah. Like, I just can't understand. Like, they lived in a fucking bedsit and like they didn't have stable jobs. They tried for me for a year. I'm like, what were you? My dad was married before he got with my mum, so my mum knew all this. And I'm like, you were just silly. But I have to give her grace because the frontal lobe hadn't fully developed yet. Doesn't develop till you're 25. And I just think that was the norm back then. Like, it was normal to have a kid and get a council house at that age. Like, that's just what they did. And they didn't have prospects in the way that we do now, and they didn't have ambition in the way that I do now. And I think it was very, very important to me that when I did decide to have a child with somebody, that it was with the right person. And I know that nobody plans to have a child with the wrong person. They really don't. I see my friends in those situations and it's not nice. Nobody ever plans for that. But I wanted to plan to the best of my ability to give him a good dad. And I've managed to find, if I've not done anything else right in life, I chose a good fucking father for my children.
That's amazing to hear that. So coming from that background, like lower class, I guess it was the right technical term.
Council house.
Council house, or whatever the right term is, yeah. Then how old were you then when you first went on to Geordie Shore? For people who don't know who you are and don't know Geordie Shore, 1, what's Geordie Shore? And then 2, how old were you when you first went on to Geordie Shore?
So Geordie Shore was a spin-off of Jersey Shore.
I knew it.
Yeah. So I actually wrote a Facebook status. I'll be able to find the screenshot on my phone somewhere. I wrote a Facebook status in like 2010 saying, oh my God, Jersey Shore is the best thing I've ever seen. I wish I could do something like that. And the year later I was cast. So
Manifestation.
So I actually I worked at a call centre at the time when I was 18. And I actually I always wanted to be famous. Like, I used to wish on stars to be famous. I wanted to be Katie Price. Like, I wanted the fame, the attention. I wanted it all. I thought that was going to bring me so much joy and happiness. So there was actually a newspaper article that my boyfriend at the time had seen. And he was like, oh my God, they're doing like the Geordie version of Jersey Shore. And I was like, well, I won't get on it. I'm not a Geordie. Like, I'm from Middlesbrough. If you know, like, the area, you'll know that Middlesbrough is so far away from being a Geordie. Like, it's not there. So I thought, oh, well, I'll just apply anyway. You never know. So 4,000 people applied, I believe. And we went for these meetings. I think it was in the Malmaison in Newcastle. I turned up with 2 strips of material covering my nipples and a belt. And the producer said the second she saw me, she knew I was going to be on. Then I opened my mouth. And then I'm saying, bear in mind, I'm just going to be completely honest here. I could sit here and tell you that I blagged my way through that interview. I didn't. I was completely honest about everything, but everything I was saying was absolutely nuts. I was like, yeah, I've got a boyfriend, but I'll be able to get with other people. Like, he won't mind. And they were thinking, like, what the fuck is this girl? And I didn't know at the time, but that was just who I was. I was crazy. I was a crash out. I'd cry on every night out. I was just a mess. A complete mess. Doing anything and everything I could for attention, regardless of whether I had a boyfriend or not. And obviously it's awful to think and look back on, and, you know, never ever did anything, never cheated on anyone again after that, because that hurt him and it wasn't nice. But I did get on the shore. I was in the hot tub on night one with my boobs out, ended up getting with one of the guys off the shore. But there was not one bit of welfare at that point. So nobody stepped in and thought, maybe this 18-year-old girl's had enough to drink. Maybe we should stop her from going in the room with a boy when she's got a boyfriend. Like, they were just rubbing their hands in that green room being like, this is fucking TV gold. And then it all came out. And then it was just an absolute shitstorm from then.
You say it came out, what do you mean?
Came out on TV.
Oh, so it was released on TV.
Yeah. So you've got to think, as an 18-year-old who was quite naive, very hard for you remember how big MTV was at that time.
Yeah, I know. So when we were obviously doing research, people didn't realise.
We're the same age.
Yeah. Obviously, I know. But some people didn't know it was on MTV. They were
Yeah.
like, well, back then, MTV was a big-ass channel.
Big channel. It's Paramount now. So it was very difficult for me as an 18-year-old to comprehend that what I was doing in that house was going to someday be shown to the world. Like, I was a girl from Middlesbrough, and you're putting me in a house with these people and you're telling me it's going to be on TV and shown to the entire world. Like, it didn't compute. And I didn't think I had to be anybody other than I already was. And I was just in that house kind of, as a freshly diagnosed ADHD person and doing all of the research on that. I didn't actually have a personality of my own at the time. I was just like pulling bits of other people's while I tried to form my own. So whatever people liked about, let's say, Charlotte or Sophie, I'd just try and emulate that because I just didn't know who I was at the time. And they taught me a lot. Like, I learned everything from those girls because they have always been who they are. Whereas I really had to find who I was on TV, which was really difficult. And yeah, it was at a time where there was no such thing as a troll. People just said things with their real names and real accounts, and there was only Facebook. So there was Facebook groups made about me called Holly Hagan is the biggest embarrassment to Teesside. And then a whale actually washed, I can laugh about it now. A whale washed up on the beach, on Redcar Beach. And it said, when Holly Hagan washes up on the beach. And loads of people from my area were joining these groups. I think one of the groups had like 5,000 members at a time. And this is all people who knew me from the area, who knew me from nights out. My friend's dad was in there commenting. Like, it was absolutely brutal.
Wow.
And yeah, I wanted the ground to swallow me up. I wanted to move to another country and I wanted to change my name because I felt like I'd not only ruined my own life, but I felt like I'd ruined my entire family's because the press were at the door. Eggs were being thrown at our house would get vandalised. And I just felt like I'd embarrassed them. Nobody wants their child to be doing things like that on TV, let's be honest.
What do you think then to what's happening now with OnlyFans then?
I feel like at least it's behind a paywall.
That is one thing.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's behind a paywall.
Do you think things have become like almost like in waves, right? Because that was on like mainstream television.
Yeah.
And then it became like almost unacceptable to do that on mainstream television or just at all.
Yeah.
And now it's like happening more than ever, but just behind a paywall.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you know what? I think it's really easy to get sucked into that. So I used to glamour model. So obviously I used to do the Nuts magazines, the Zoo magazines, all of those types. And it was seen as like a prestigious thing to do back in the day. If you were on Nuts magazine, you were seen as like a celebrity. So I used to love it. I loved those times. Like, they were my favourite times. I'd be out in Asda getting the magazines off the shelves at like 4:00 in the morning when they first launched. Like, I thought it was such a great thing. And then they all got removed and then OnlyFans came about. And there was a point where I was actually on OnlyFans, not doing anything other than like underwear. But that was always what I did anyway. So I didn't see anything wrong with it. Then I can see how girls get pushed into doing other things because all of a sudden you've got people wanting other things. So it's a very, very slippery slope. So I thankfully, for myself, not for anyone else, I don't judge anyone else who does it, but thankfully I didn't go down the route of doing any more and regretting it. So, I mean, I'd already had sex on TV anyway, so there's not much more regrets I can possibly have, but I didn't go down, down the other route of kind of doing porn.
So you've never sold a pair of your underwear?
No, I haven't sold a pair of my underwear.
Verified. We're going to fact check that.
like, put me on a lie detector.
So, young age, and it's funny when you think about it. Actually, think about it. It's actually mental that they producers like let that kind of stuff happen, and they probably encouraged it. I'm sure, which we'll come on to. There's obviously way more.
Let's talk about the encouraging.
But like, this isn't. And then obviously the family stuff and the repercussions, the vandalizing, etc. That must take its toll in so many ways that you obviously would know about, but obviously so many ways you wouldn't know would affect you until after.
Yeah.
But that wasn't also the first time you were bullied, right?
No.
So your childhood was quite riddled with bullies as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
So tell me like how school was from young age and then up until 18 when you obviously joined Geordie Shore.
Yeah, so primary school for me, I used to cry every morning I'd go to primary school. So it was obviously around about the time my dad leaving. I was then with like a childminder, which meant I would always be late for school because she had to drop like certain kids off at different places. So I was always walking in late, which was, you know, uncomfortable. I've always been a very anxious child. I used to worry about not waking up on time on a morning or being late for school. All the things that you shouldn't really be worrying about as like a 5-year-old that I was worrying about. I remember the first time I got bullied, and it was a girl who said if I didn't let her look at my answers, she was going to phone the police on me. And obviously at 5-year-old, you don't understand. So she was terrifying. Then going into secondary school, I was bullied again from probably like year 7 to probably stopped in like year 9. Then I ended up becoming friends with the bullies, which, you know, you've got to survive. But yeah, I was... How did it really start? I was an easy target. Like, I grew up as an only child. My sister wasn't born until I was like 13. So I grew up as an only child. I felt like I was made of glass. I'd never had a fight before. Like, I was just, you know, I wasn't that type of person. So whenever anybody would say anything to me, I couldn't stand up for myself, and I never did. I didn't learn how to stand up for myself until I was like 19, 20. And then you couldn't stop me from standing up for myself. But before that, yeah, it was really hard because I felt like I didn't have the words, I didn't have the backbone, and I didn't know how to fight. So I was just really scared of everyone. Very easy target for bullies. So then I'd be called fat slag was the main one. I dyed my hair black at one point, and they called me goth, mosher, you know, all the things. And we had MSN at the time. So, you know, you remember MSN.
I remember MSN. You had all your fake friends in emojis. And if they weren't your friend, you'd take them out and showed them you were livid.
Absolutely. So I'd go home, and I always remember this girl comment, and it was just kind of rat, goth, rat, fat slag. And I was like, you know, diddlin. And I was just like, oh my God, this is horrendous. So every Sunday this would happen, and every Monday I'd be scared to go into school. Then it was the end of like year 8, and we were all saying bye to each other. This guy from the year below was like, oh, bye, Holly, see you later. Gave him a very innocent hug. Unfortunately for me, his girlfriend, who I thought was my friend, seen me hugging him and waited for me outside of the school with another 2 girls. We didn't have camera phones then, thankfully, but waited for me. And I was meant to be going for a sleepover at my friend's house, which was over the field. But because they were waiting for me, we decided not to go over the field, and they'd just walk me home. The entire school's following, or what felt like the entire school, year 11s, older kids. And they beat me up from, if anyone knows Salterskill Avenue, you'll know it's a long way from where the school used to be, Newlands School at the top, all the way down to the shops. It's a pretty long way from there. They beat me up from the top of the road to the bottom till I managed to get to the shop so I could ring my stepdad. And every single time everyone said, they were like, oh, you took it really well. Like, you can take a punch, can't you? And this was the first time I was like, oh, thanks, guys. But yeah, they'd rag my hair out, kick me in the face. I'd just stand up, do my hair and walk off because I didn't know how to fight back. And how can you fight back when there's 3-on-1 anyway? I was never going to win. So that was my first experience of a fight. My stepdad drove me to her house, dragged her out by the scruff of her neck and made her apologise to me. But then it was the 6 weeks holidays, and I literally spent that entire 6 weeks holidays just not going out with my friends in case she was there. So that was really shit. Then I've had my head bashed off the lift in school, and another girl just used to constantly bully me. Like, never did anything physical, but it was all just words with her. And it's really funny because one of our friends from school was drunk in a club, in a bar. And she ended up seeing her and she was like, you bullied Holly the whole way through school. And the bully was like, did I? And she didn't remember. And I was like, isn't that funny? That the person who I have such vivid memories of me, like causing me so much grief, doesn't even remember that they did anything wrong. And I was like, that's actually really interesting. Because we did become friends after that, because you kind of had to keep them close. But before that, I was like, how did you used to make my life a living hell? How can you not remember that? But to be fair to her, she was also in a difficult circumstance at home as well. She didn't really have a mum. Her dad and stepmom had quite a few kids who she was having to look after a lot. So I don't hold anything against her, but haven't had an apology.
What is the difference between making excuses for somebody and being kind? Because what you just said there, you were trying to see where that person was coming from.
Yeah.
Versus being like, cunt.
Yeah. I think it's just growth. Like, I think as I've gotten older, I've realised that whenever anyone says anything about me, it's nothing to do with me. Because you called me a fat slag. Then when I wasn't fat, you said I had too much surgery. Then I was too skinny. And then it was like, oh, actually, hang on a second. Maybe I'm actually not the problem. Maybe whatever I do, you're going to have something to say about it. Nothing to do with my weight. It's nothing to do with the way that I look. You are insecure and you are projecting that onto me. And there is nothing that I can do or change that is going to fix that. Unfortunately, learnt that a little bit too late after multiple BBLs and surgeries and lip fillers and cheek fillers. So learnt it a little bit too late, but I'm glad I know it now. Usually
the lesson comes after when you needed the lesson to be before.
Absolutely.
Isn't it funny to say, like, projection, like you said earlier on, is another chapter. Projection is reflection. Like, I remember vividly, like I told you that period I was talking about, thinking, you are doing this to me. And then obviously then learn, like, whenever it's a you and pointing outwards, blame is just the discharging of pain. I'm like, oh, well, fuck, if that's true, then I'm hurting. What am I hurting about? And they're in such a self-reflective mode.
It is.
You're like, who about that bully, whatever else happening? You're like, what's happening for me though? And then you start the analytics of what's going on, which sounds exactly what you did.
Because we're all human. Like, that's just how we are programmed to be. And like, even if I find myself wanting to be a bitch about something, it's like, why am I saying that? What am I jealous of? Most of the time, the first point of call is jealousy. What am I jealous of? What do I want that they have? Why would I say that about them? What's my discomfort?
What is my lack?
Yeah, what am I lacking here?
What is your lack right now in your life?
Oh, good question. I think...
Thank you.
I think a lot of the times it would be confidence, I think.
You think you're lacking confidence?
Slightly.
In all areas or just in some particular ones?
I think definitely within business.
Say more.
Obviously, we started the business kind of maybe 2 or 3 years ago now. And we've done well. Like, we're a 6-figure business, so that doesn't mean we've got 6-figure profits. It's just, the profits aren't there. But over the last year, I've been learning, doing so many courses, spent so much fucking money on just trying to educate myself on what other people do, learning the frameworks and building that confidence in business, because I didn't grow up around it. I was always taught to go out and get a job. Who are you going to work for? What are you going to do? Nobody asked me what business I was going to make. When I had to first, set up a business on Companies House, I was like, what the fuck am I doing? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. Then people would be asking me in podcasts, like, oh, do you have investment? I was like, I don't even know how to get investment. Like, I'm just a girl from a council estate. Like, I don't know all of these things. And then I had to learn all of these things. And now I feel like I know a lot of these things. And I feel like I'm going to learn more things from you as well, from what you've told me. And I'm always open to learning and just doing that. But I think over the last year, my confidence has definitely grown in that. But I think a lot of where I'm lacking is just that the perception that people have of me is just so wrong.
But if what we've said so far is true, so far what we've spoken about, the perception of others that you think it is actually your perception of you.
Yeah. So maybe I still think that I am the Geordie Shore slag that people aren't going to trust. And maybe that's for me to have to work through. And I feel like I am, but I definitely feel like it's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in a year. It's going to take time for me to be able to actually change my own opinion of myself.
So I don't think this is you, but how would the fat slag from the Council of State, what would she have to do to become this version of Holly that you actually want to be, that you're trying to step into? What actual things would you have to do in your mind?
Oh, breathe, breath work, regulate the nervous system. I don't know. That's a difficult question. I think continue learning, continue to be open and honest about my own journey, because I think that's a big part of it as well. And just owning the things that I have done, because if I didn't go through all of that, I wouldn't be here today. If I didn't have all the surgeries, I wouldn't be sat here being a fitness coach now. It just wouldn't have led me to this point because I was never into that. But through making all of the mistakes has led me here, and I need to realise that actually that's just a part of my story, but it's not the whole story.
From what I'm hearing though, and again, happy to be wrong, it sounds like you're still carrying shame.
Oh, absolutely. Like you saw right in that. I think I'll always carry that, because it didn't just bring shame onto me. It brought shame onto my family, those around me. And I mean, come on, like if I had a child who was doing what I did on Geordie Shore, I would be ashamed. Like that's just a human response. And it's not that they ever made me feel ashamed. Like my parents did their absolute best to just, manage the situation and to continue to love me in the best way that they could. But obviously they were going to be ashamed. And I do still feel that. And I think, the behaviours that I had at 18, 19, 20 are not things that I would do now. Like if you even put me side by side with that person, you wouldn't even think it was the same person. But the things that have stayed true throughout that whole time is I've always been a good friend. I've always been loyal, apart from the first time that I got with someone else. But after that, always been loyal. And I've always been a good person. And I've always just tried to be me.
But you're still not accepting that fact, right?
No, I'm accepting that I've always been a good person.
So,
but I do still hold shame from doing the things that I did on TV.
I hear you. I've been through this. I've obviously not done things on TV.
Don't.
Noted.
You might regret it later.
Noted. But I do. Obviously, I've done a lot of things that if you asked me about them in detail, I'd obviously say, yeah, I would be shameful of my actions. But, and again, it's a full-time contact sport to try and wrestle with the reality of the things you've done and do and have done and hurt people, etc. I'm just actually trying to think about what question I'm even trying to ask, because I do recall being in a situation in my life where I'm like, how do you move through this? I completely mirror your sentiment to be like owning the reality of the story.
Yeah.
But I think I had to practice radical acceptance of not the things I'd done, but probably also the things I'd done, who I actually was, and show compassion to myself, which is probably the hardest thing to do. Because you're good at showing compassion to others, even just like that bully story told. But you're not very good at showing compassion to yourself when you talk about what things you've done, who maybe you brought shame on people. And then this still sounds like you're taking that forward. And so therefore my question is, how is it serving you? Because it must be serving you for you to still do it. How is it serving you to be keeping that shame with you?
Well, it's not.
But it must be, because we always hold on to stuff that's serving us, to keep us trapped, to keep us small, to keep us in some sort of pattern, even if it's not conscious.
Probably subconsciously. I think sometimes I feel like I have to feel that shame, because I would feel that shame if, let's say, it was my child doing that. So I guess because I would think like that about somebody else, then maybe I feel like, oh, well, I have to feel like that. But I don't know how it would still be serving me. It must be a subconscious thing, because it's not something that I'm...
But is that judgment? Because what we judge on others is really judgment towards ourselves. So you're like, I think that I would judge them Therefore, I best judge me.
But then would I judge them? Because if people do it now, I don't judge. So I don't know, actually. I don't know why I would still be keeping that. I think it's just because it was on such a large scale, first of all. So it's like, you do something in your normal everyday life. Let's say I'd just done all of that stuff, but it wasn't on camera. Am I going to feel as shameful for it? I'd just put it at the back of my mind. But I think because I'm constantly reminded of it.
Lewis Howes says, she just come to me, she said that. I don't know if you know Lewis Howes' story. He's obviously a big podcaster, one of the biggest shows in the world. And he was sexually assaulted at 5 years old by a man who was a boy of an older boy who, when his mum's friend was babysitting him.
Wow.
And he obviously didn't tell anyone. Went on to become an NFL star, successful as hell. And he says, and this hit me because obviously from listening to this whilst running, physically running, I realised some stuff that happened to me as a kid. It was sexual assault in a sense, but it wasn't from a man in my childhood. So like quite a significant memory came from him sharing this on a podcast, because I was like, how is he sharing this on a phone? I was like, mate, do you know people are listening to you?
Yeah.
And he said, I thought, and his quote was, I thought that if you knew this about me, how could you love me if you knew this about me? So when he said that, I was like, it hits you in the fucking feels. I remember it very vividly. So when you said that, because people know, like you said, if it happened and it wasn't on camera, so it made me think, so it's because people know you did that?
I think so.
And because people know, does that make you feel like, how can they accept you? How can they love you? Because they know what you did?
Yeah, probably. I think that's probably where it comes from. I think because I've always been told nobody would. And then obviously when my husband did, it was like...
Too good to be true.
In the beginning, it was like, yeah, definitely too good to be true, which is why I kept my guard up for a long time in the beginning with him. And then slowly dropped it, but also still had very, very high boundaries at the time. So anything that he said, I think he said something about a top that I was wearing because you could see my nipples through it, and I literally walked out and left the house. I was like, you don't get to tell me what to wear. And I was just really strong in my boundaries with him. And I think that's how we obviously started off a good relationship, because I was strong in my boundaries. You weren't going to make me feel like my previous partner did. So I do have those strong boundaries with him. But I think with everyone else, it's like when he would be in football locker rooms, the banter that they're having. And thankfully, he's so laid back and will just take the banter. He thinks it's funny. But how strong-minded he had to be. And I would feel bad. I would feel guilty that he's in these rooms with all of these men. And they're like, your girlfriend's Holly Hagan from Geordie Shore, knowing the things that I'd done on TV in my past. A lot of them couldn't comprehend how him as a man could accept that I'd slept with other people. And like, everybody knows that most people have got a past, but because they can't see it and they haven't seen it, they just kind of brush it under the rug. But because they knew, everyone wants a fucking virgin, don't they? Which is just frustrating. I've got a theory, actually. I'm going to tell you my theory. So my theory, this is going to sound awful, but my theory is, get with the slag, because she's had her fun and she's lived her life. And if she's choosing you over the slag life, then she must really want you. And she's not going to cheat because she's already been with people previously.
You heard it first.
She's already been with people and she knows. Whereas if you get with the virgin, well, she doesn't know what she's missing. So then she might be tempted to go out and get with people. You see it all the time. These people who got together at like 15, all of a sudden they hit 30 and they're like, midlife crisis, quarter life crisis. What am I missing? I need to go out and test the waters. Whereas like people thought that I was still going to be.
You definitely did test the waters.
I tested the waters. I tested sparkling still, all the waters. But when I got with Jacob, people would still assume that like, oh, well, she can't be faithful because she's done things like that on TV. That had nothing to do with me being faithful or not. What I did when I was single has no reflection on how I'm going to be in a relationship. Now, when I got with Jacob, like, I'm with someone, I'm not going to be going out and doing that kind of stuff. But actually what I realised is I actually didn't enjoy being this hypersexual person that I portrayed myself as. And I think what actually is going to probably hit the nail on the head is that I'm probably ashamed of what I did, because that actually wasn't what I wanted to do. Like, I actually wasn't that person. I was just desperate for attention, and it was the only way I knew how to get it. So now that I'm older and I'm like, actually, I couldn't think of anything worse than doing anything like that. If I became single, the last thing I would be thinking about was going out and doing things like that, because I'm actually not this hypersexual person that I portrayed myself as. And I used that as a way to get attention, to get love, to get some affection. It was the only way I knew how. Whereas now, I'm in a comfortable, happy relationship. I have been for 9 years. And I mean, poor Jacob, he's like, it's going to happen anytime this month. Thankfully, we're trying for a baby, so he does get some action at some points of the month. But otherwise, he's like, you're not like what people think you're like. And I'm like, I know, because I'm comfortable with you. And I don't have to constantly be this over-sexual person for me to think that I need to do that for you to like me, because I know you like me for me.
Makes a lot of sense.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it makes a lot of sense. I think it's always so stereotypical.
Yeah, I know.
But also then so unique in the sense, obviously, the TV lifestyle, as you said, the massive reach that it had.
But also, I know we haven't touched on this yet, but when we were in Geordie Shore, it was very much you are fighting for your place in this house. So I don't know if you ever remember Greg. He got kicked out after series 1. You're a fan, I can tell. You know Greg. So Greg got kicked out after series 1. And I think they did this to prove none of you were safe. You better give what you can give, and you better earn your fucking seat, because there are plenty of people queuing around the block to take your place. And we were told that every single series. Just remember, there's people lined up to take your place, and they'll do it in a heartbeat. So make sure you leave the series with a bang. And they meant that literally. They'd come and tell us, doesn't matter what you've done throughout the series, everyone remembers that final episode.
Super Bowl episode.
So make sure you go out with a bang, and they'd wink. And we'd be like,
wow,
okay. And then you had to go and perform. So as much as, yes, we weren't given scripts, we weren't told what to say, apart from in green screen, they might give you a few lines if they wanted something specific. But we were coerced into being these wild, crazy people. And the more wild we were, the more series we were going to get. And we've all quit our jobs now, and we can't go back from this because everybody knows who we are. So we were desperate to keep our jobs. So we did anything that it took to keep them.
That's crazy, isn't it?
I know.
This show is a PodFirst production. PodFirst specialise in cinematic, high-quality video media production and podcasts, including projects such as viral social media content for business owners and entrepreneurs, internal communications for organisations, and charity incentives like Homeless FC. Managing and directing the project from start to finish. So whether it's pre- and post-production, branding, guest selection and booking, set design, social media strategy, marketing and management, the list continues. Whether you're a business owner or an organisation, PodFirst is here to help you to achieve your objectives and your vision. If any of this sounds like you, then you can visit PodFirst at www.podfirst.com. That's www.podfirst.com.
So we did anything that it took to keep them.
That's crazy, isn't it?
I know.
So whilst we're on the topic of Geordie Shore and other people, many people have watched the season or series Friends.
Yeah.
Ross and Rachel, whether they were, whether they weren't, on a break. Gaz, Charlotte.
Yeah.
Insert thoughts.
Oh, honestly, I could. Where do you want to start with them two? I mean, we all loved Gary and Charlotte, obviously. I'm Charlotte's best friend, so I'm so happy for where she is now. And I'm so happy that she's found Jake. I've known Jake for a long time. He is like the best person in the world. And to see your friend with somebody after not being treated the best in a certain relationship, to then be with somebody who treats her like an absolute fucking queen is just amazing. Now that relationship with them, obviously I don't want to speak too heavily on it 'cause it's not my place, but they were just something else. They never really tried on the outside. I don't think they did. They didn't really try on the outside, so it was very much a in-house kind of thing. But there was a lot of love there at the time. And there was a lot of things that obviously went on that were really difficult. And then obviously Charlotte left in, I think, maybe series 12. I was only in there one series after her, but yeah, everything started to go kind of downhill from there. And the show was never really the same.
There's so many dynamics that played out in the Geordie Shore house series that like you see so often in non-televised relationships.
Yeah.
Because Gaz, and I don't know the ins and outs, and obviously people, relationships, feelings, etc. So I won't go into it in too much detail. But many men say, I don't want to have a relationship with you, and then do the actions that would indicate to a woman that they do.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? That's what was happening.
And so then, again, I don't know in that specific, because the cameras and who knows what was going on behind the scenes. You obviously do know much more than me. But how do we go from this? So, man says doesn't want that. Woman carries on doing it, knowing that. Obviously, it was shit for her in the seasons and stuff I've seen, because obviously she was upset. But he did tell her. So how does this like? And then obviously you had relationships in there. James never got a relationship in there. You know, how does that all stack up?
The relationships in there were very much a circumstantial thing. Like none of us would have been together outside of the show. Like it's just, it proved me and Kyle didn't work. Like it was just a circumstance thing. Like we were in the house, there was nobody else. You're in there for 6 weeks, you've got no phone. If you're not getting with someone, it's pretty fucking boring to go through 6 weeks without having a bit of a love interest in there. So you do just take what's on offer, for lack of a better word. And I think that's what we all kind of did. And then it just catapulted for some people. I mean, Charlotte and Gary kind of kept it to the shore. Marnie and Aaron kind of kept it to the shore. Unfortunately for me and Kyle, we took it outside of the shore. And then it was even worse. And that was a long 3 years. But yeah, you can't have relationships on TV. But this is the thing as well. It's like, I was like, that was my only time to like meet people. So when I was like getting with people in the house, that was very much well, this is the only time I actually get to see a man or flirt with men or whatever. And, you know, some of them with my partner, or I was seeing them, or if you would say dating them or whatever, for periods of time. So obviously I'm going to be getting with them, but obviously it was on camera. But then, you know, that's like my boyfriend. So it's just, it's weird, because it's like, well, yeah, of course I'm going to get with my boyfriend on TV. Because it's not like being on TV. It's like that was just the life that we were living. And you do forget that the cameras are there. They wouldn't show things like that now, but it was pretty graphic back in the day, which I don't like to watch back.
It was.
I cannot watch those series back because I think I would cry, to be honest. Series 1 was not good for me. Anything after
Series
that.
1, I mean...
Series
It's
1.
back in the day, like when Big Brother was a thing, and Geordie Shore. Like, obviously now people just wouldn't expect nothing like that would be on TV.
Nothing. Wouldn't be loud.
You were seriously out there.
I was
Seriously out there.
an absolute crash out. I would just crash out on TV. Like, I just didn't understand it was going to be on TV. But then it was. And then...
It carried on being.
But you know
And it carried
what?
on being a bit more.
I think what's really interesting, I'm actually on the Reddit thread, so I get notifications whenever someone puts a Geordie Shore thread on. So I find
Just for a bit of trauma bonding.
Just for a bit, yeah. They're actually all really nice now. But I'm in there and I look at like some of the discourse they're having, and it's nice to read. But some people rewatch it again for like a second time, like as an adult. And what I tend to find that people say about me is that they hated me when they first watched it as a teenager because they never understood. But now as an adult and they're rewatching it, they actually understand.
That's like almost reparenting their inner child through you, right?
Absolutely.
That's what that sounds like. That'd be interesting for you to watch that again.
I've tried.
Have you? Did it kind of bring up stuff?
So there's a TV show called Geordie Reacts. And I did it like once or twice, but I had to stop doing it because I was actually getting really badly triggered.
Wow.
So I actually had to stop doing the show because I was like, I can't put myself in a position where you're making me watch things that are like really bringing up a lot of trauma. And I know it seems like I'm being dramatic.
It does not.
But it hurt me, and I would go home and I'd be like, oh my God, like they were horrible to me. And I would watch them all being awful about me, and I'd be like, I'm meant to be friends with these people now.
But you must have thought you deserved that.
No, I did.
Because now you won't tolerate that stuff.
Yeah. But at the time I thought, oh, well, I got with somebody when I had a boyfriend, even though we had a little bit of an agreement. Like I took it too far and they hated me because of that, even though it was fuck all to do with them. And they all cheated on their respective partners afterwards, whether they had secret girlfriends or whether they had girlfriends on the outside. Every single one of those people in that show cheated at some point. So to judge me for it in the beginning, like, I get it, but it's still quite unfair that they went on to then do it.
Like the judgment of others, right? Again, back to that same thing. They were probably feeling themselves.
And then they didn't get
well, it'd be different.
treated the same way.
It'd be different for them, right?
It's different.
It's different. But then this wasn't like the end of the stuff, right? So Geordie Shore, the first sets of seasons, right? Then you went out and then you obviously were doing club promotions, the Fame Game.
The Fame Game.
Walk me through, how old were you then when you not left Geordie Shore for the last time? Because I know there was a later season that came back, but left Geordie Shore at what age? And then what was life like for a 20-odd-year-old? Assuming earning decent money, or definitely had earned decent money for doing it, very well known for certain types of things.
Yeah.
And obviously then your glamour modeling and club promotions and that kind of scene. What was that like?
Yeah, so we didn't actually get paid for the first, I think, 3 seasons. So we were just doing it for free Jaeger bombs and kebabs, which, you know, at 18-year-old, you're thinking, woo, I'm in the money. Like, this is a dream come true. So yeah, didn't get paid for the first few seasons. And we started getting club appearances. So I think I've done one in Nottingham, actually, once upon a time.
2014.
Yeah, possibly. And yeah, we started doing club appearances. So bear in mind, obviously, the popular ones like Gary, Charlotte, Jay, Vicky, they'd all get like a lot of money. So I think the lads were getting like between $1,000 and $2,000 a time for a club appearance. So a couple of hours appearance in a nightclub. I was getting £250 and I wasn't getting anywhere near the amount that the popular ones were getting, obviously. I was the one you'd get if you couldn't afford all of the others. So very early on, I learned that I was not the favourite, that I was the one who was earning the least money. And I just had to deal with it. What else could I really do? That's the cards that were dealt for me at that time. So we'd go to club appearances. Sometimes I'd be there back to back. I'd be doing like 10 PAs in a row. I'd be on my own because my friends had jobs. They couldn't just come with me to all of these. I'd be picked up by some 17-year-old in a bashed up Corsa, taken to a club at like 1 a.m, expected to get absolutely shit-faced. If I didn't get shit-faced, they wouldn't book me again. So there was this expectation to be Holly Geordie Shore for a very long time. I would then have to get up the next morning, absolutely mortal drunk, go get on the train. One time I've got on from fucking Inverness to London, like brutal. Brutal. And I'm 18. You didn't even have like the train line at the time. I think I wrote it down on a piece of paper, like what I had to do. And I'd never got on a train before by myself. So I'm doing all of this as a fresh 18-year-old. And so we do PAs, wasn't earning a lot of money. We had to actually go to MTV and say, you've made us quit our jobs. We can't afford to survive. What are you going to do about it? And anyway, they started paying us like $1,000 a month, I think. And at that time, we were like, whoo, 18 grand a month, absolutely balling. Like, that was a hell of a lot of money. And yeah, that kept us going until each series came around. And then we started getting paid from the series. Then work started around about, I think 2014 was like one of my best years. I got like a clothing brand where I was earning like 10 grand a month. Like this was big money for me. These were bigger numbers than I'd ever seen. Didn't have a clue about tax or VAT at the time though, so most of that ended up going to the tax man. But yeah, was doing really, really well. Then was glamour modelling. But you were always kind of waiting for work to come in from agents. So the fee from the show would kind of cover us for a while. And then obviously you had club appearances. And then we started to get Instagram posts. And that's kind of where it changed for the girls, because for once, we were the ones that were needed for the work, because it was very much a female-dominated industry doing collaborations. And that's when we started making really good money.
What would like the best year financially back then kind of be for you?
I think one of my best years back in those days were maybe like 300 grand turnover.
So then like taking home what, 150-ish?
Possibly. I think it was about that, maybe around 2014-ish, when I had that big deal with the 10 grand a month clothing collab. I couldn't believe it. It was just insane.
But for a girl coming from where you came from,
I know.
that's like £300,000.
But do you know what? I've actually always been quite sensible with my money. I've always lived below my means. I got a house that was like well below my means initially. Didn't later on in life, but initially I did, because I always just wanted to make sure if everything ended tomorrow. I actually remember my mum saying after series 1, Holly, if it all ends tomorrow, at least you've paid off your boob job. And I was like, yeah, you're so right, because I had it on finance, so I paid that off. And that was what we initially thought. We did not know it was going to be going 15 years later. And I mean, I'll be still going back next year at some point.
You going back next year?
Well, we do one every year now. Came back in, when did we do it? We did a reunion in 2022, and then from then on they've just started doing holidays once a year again.
Yeah,
so.
I did see it. I didn't watch it, but I did see it advertised.
Not as fun now.
Nah, everything's a bit, as you say, like, well, everyone's got like a life, a family, a kind of...
Exactly. But people still want to see bits of that as much as, I don't think people want to see all the arguments and the shagging anymore. Like, I think people, they might, but I think people are quite happy to see how our lives have come on and the journey that we've been on. Because a lot of people do relate to it.
The Geordie Shore thing aside, it was fascinating just talking to you obviously on the way here. Like, I don't know anyone who's got 4 million followers on Instagram, and so just like what it's really like to hear like how that stuff happens and what these people do, and I find it fascinating. So I could definitely see how people do care for what you've done. Everyone, when the show's done.
But that's the thing. It's like we've got these followers, but people just then think they're going to turn into sales whenever you promote something. Whereas a lot of the time, it's like they follow me because they're nosy. They want to see what I'm doing with life. They don't care. Like they're not. Obviously, I'm into fitness now. As soon as I started talking about fitness, I lost like 200,000 followers.
That's crazy.
Which is crazy as soon as I started talking about that. And I get it because I wasn't really mixing up my content at the time. But I did just want to be seen and trusted in that space. So I started really heavily posting about that. I've weaved it into, having a few more different content pillars for different audiences. But yeah, it's hard, when you've got 4 million followers, but they're not targeted followers for a specific thing that, is my career now. So I'm having to work harder now to kind of build a following that is the right following for what I'm actually doing and the education that I'm providing, people who actually care about that.
And so before we just started that topic there, you mentioned paid off your boob job.
Yeah.
So let's talk about the breast thing first.
Okay.
And the breast regrets.
I don't regret actually I do.
How many boob jobs have you had? The fact you had to have the inhale of breath, it's like, oh.
Okay. Had my first one at 18 before the show. I had my second one at like 20.
For context, what CC did you go at 18?
Okay, so I went 365 cc over the muscle.
Go.
Then in 2019, I'd gone through quite a period of like gaining and losing weight during that time, so they just looked horrendous. Then I went for a bigger implant in 2020. Not 2020, when I was 20.
Yep.
I got a bigger implant put in. I went to 625.
625?
I went to 625.
Ooh.
Which was wild. My husband loved them. He was gutted when I got rid of those. 625. Then I got an uplift on top of those ones.
Whilst you had them in?
Whilst I had those in, because he was just like, I don't want your nipples to be odd, so we'll do it in 2 stages. So I had an uplift. Then in 2017, I was like, I'm attracting the wrong attention. This was like the pivot of, I started.
What dress size were you?
I just shoved them in everything. Like I would buy stretchy things, but yeah,
Stretchy things?
Stretchy thing.
625?
625. It was pretty, but they were under the muscle. So
do we have squashing teardrop or?
It was just that the breast was in the armpit and up to the collarbone, so that they started up there. So for anyone listening, don't tell them to put the biggest you ever can in. That's not a good thing. So then they removed in 2017. I ended up getting those out. I went to 410 under the muscle and an uplift. And I actually want to get an explant now.
As in you want to get them to...
I want a factory reset. I want to go back to normal.
As in no boobies?
I want none. My husband won't let me.
What would be your natural...
I have no idea, you know, because I think I actually got them way too early that I hadn't fully developed yet. And then obviously when you have children and things, like they get bigger. So I feel like I actually don't even know what I would be now, but I just want them.
I'm a professional podcaster.
I want them. I just want them out now so that I can just be back to me again.
And this is not the only surgery you've had. Boobs is not the only thing.
Boobs not the only surgery. I've also had 2 BBLs and 1 like fixing of a BBL.
What is a BBL for?
Brazilian butt lift. So a BBL is a Brazilian butt lift where they take fat from other areas of the body and they put it in the bum and hips. So I had my first one in the UK. Cost me about 12 grand.
12 grand?
12 grand.
Yeah.
That was in like 2014, I think.
Was that when they started doing that stuff?
That was like top Kardashian era, you know, when the Kardashians were like big, voluptuous girlies. That age. I just wanted to be a Kardashian. I thought if everyone called me a fat slag, then I could turn into like a skinny slag and it would be just be great. So yeah, 2014 I had a BBL. It was very conservative because it was done in the UK, so it didn't really change much. And I think I lost a lot of the volume anyway, so I kind of just went back to...
So they take the fat out and then they inject the fat in, and then obviously your body's going to reject a certain part of it and sort of burn off, and it's going to have to accept it, I assume. So
I think it just rejected a lot of that. Then I thought, fuck this, I'm going to Turkey. But a big mistake. Went to Turkey and they wanted me to do a collab. And I said no, because I knew that I didn't want to put that into the world. I wanted to make my own decisions on what I was doing, but I didn't want to influence anybody else's decision. And I knew if I had to talk about it, it would be influencing other people to go and get it done, even if I liked it or I didn't like it. So I made the decision to pay. That was 5 grand. I think they gave me a grand discount. Actually, I think it was 4. So 4,000. I didn't have to talk about it though. It was just, you know, for me. Once I'd had that done, it was very fucking obvious that I'd had a BBL, so I should have just spoken about it anyway. But very obvious that I'd had it, but I still didn't admit it. So I didn't talk about it because, one, I didn't want other people to look at my Instagram, because bearing in mind, I was only posting pictures and videos in the right angle where I looked good, in the right clothes. But if you see me at the wrong angle, naturally paused, you wouldn't want it. So I didn't speak about it, but regardless of me speaking about it or not, it's going to have influenced some people to want to go and get surgery because it was very obvious. So I was in this really weird phase of like, fuck, if I don't speak about it, then I'm lying. But if I do speak about it, if people see me in a nice picture, they're going to be encouraged to go and get it done. So I was kind of in this, like, you know, the angel and devil on the shoulder, like, what's the right thing to do? I don't want to lie, but I don't want to encourage people to go and get it because I'm not happy. I look fucking horrendous. I'm completely botched. So I then went and got that fixed in, I think, either 2016 or early 2017. I can't remember when that was, but a surgeon in the UK. I had loads of lumps, bumps, horrendous. I didn't ask them to put fat in my hips, which they did.
Is that what kind of gets them to like
wide?
Is that a good thing?
No, well, at the time everyone wanted to be wider.
Got you.
But it was a fashion trend.
And then the trend moved on.
Then now the trend's gone.
So wide no good.
Wide's not good. It's not good anymore apparently. So, and then when you have a baby after you've had a BBL, Jesus Christ, I couldn't fit through doors. It was horrendous.
Wow.
Yeah. So had the BBL, got the surgeon to like fix up the reshape everything. And that did look semi-okay for a while. That cost me around about 20 grand.
20 grand to fix someone else's arse job on you?
He's a very good surgeon in the UK, and he did make it look so much better than it did. I'm actually going to go to him if I get a removal as well. I'm going to get him for the...
So how would that be, lipo to take out your own
thing.
fat and then reshape that?
Yeah, so it would be liposuction on the hips and bum area where the fat's been put in.
Got you.
A BBL is really fucking dangerous. Like I think you're like 17 times more likely to die than you are from like any other surgery. Don't quote me on those figures, but you can probably find them out somewhere. But it's a very dangerous surgery. So many people have died.
Because of what reason?
There's an artery that runs in the bum. And if they inject the fat in there, it causes like an embolism. And that goes straight to the lung and you're dead. Like instantly. There's nothing they can do. So me being the silly girl that I was, didn't obviously know any of this at the time. I just thought, oh, it's a trending surgery, I'll go get it. I'm insecure. I wanted to be desired. I wanted to look good. Like, no one had ever said that they liked my body or that I was desirable. That's all I ever wanted. So still didn't happen because I was just botched after that. So take it from me to just let your brain develop first and then maybe think about it. But yeah, got fixed. And then I now look like a bag of deflated jelly, which is really not.
Now you do?
Now.
In terms of tits or bum?
Bum. Because gravity.
It's because they put the extra weight of stuff in?
There's so much weight in the hips and bum that obviously over time it just drops, just sags.
Makes sense.
That's just what fat does.
So then is the expectation to keep getting it like reshaped?
Well, no, not really.
Do they explain to you like we're going to make you a big ass but then it's going to drop?
Well, this is the thing. It's like they gave me a bum that was completely wrong for my anatomy. So when I went to see the surgeon the other day about a reversal, we were just chatting through because he said I'd have another baby first because your body will change anyway. So I was just asking the questions. I wanted to know how dangerous it would be because that's the main thing putting me off. I've got a child now. I don't want to take unnecessary risks. If I have to live with the consequences of my actions, then I will. But I just wanted to know for my own sake. He was basically saying like, you know, different bums have different ethnicities. You know, there's certain things that are more characteristics of like a white bum or a black bum or Latino bum. And he was telling me all the different characteristics. And I didn't have any characteristics of like my own ethnicity in the way that I should look.
Got you.
And he was like, we need to take it out of all of these different places. And then it would look more like how you were supposed to look, back to more factory reset, I guess. So I'm hoping to be able to do that once I've had another child at some point, but I am still umming and ahhing about it because when I lose weight and I get down to a low body fat, it doesn't look like I've got a BBL. I can lose the fat. So this is the thing. I can lose the fat, but the weight that I actually have to be for it to look normal is super low, and I can't maintain that long term.
And is that because they've then messed with the way that almost the fat pockets are held, so then you put the weight back, or the fat back on essentially from the lower body percentage, and then it kind of goes in these pockets?
It's simply that I've got so many more fat cells in the bum area that when I gain weight, those fat cells expand, and when you lose weight, the fat cells shrink, so they don't disappear.
Yeah.
So for as long as I've got those excess fat cells, yes, they can shrink, but they can also grow. So I've gained 20 pounds in the last couple of months after quitting vaping, and it's all gone to my hips and bum. So I can't fit into any of my trousers anymore. It's that kind of vibe. So yes, I can lose the weight and make it look okay, but I can't fucking stick to that weight long term. It's not sustainable for me to do that. I was actually quite depressed at that time because I was like, I can't even eat what I want to eat because I'm trying to stick to this low body weight just for the simple fact of my bum needs to be smaller.
Fucking constant. Like
There's a problem and another problem and another problem.
Insecure and then felt like you're overweight or told you're overweight. Lost weight.
Bear in mind, I was only a 12. I was a fucking size 12. Maybe 12 to 14. I did squish myself in 10s, but I think I was a 12 to 14.
And then you go get those things done, which then now you hate you that so much, then you have that taken out.
Yeah.
And it's like the circle, like the loop continues.
Constant. But I would say that health and fitness has saved me because I now know if I wanted to build a bum, I know how to do that. So it's like, I just need to tell other people how to do that rather than going and getting a surgery because I know the only thing stopping people from getting surgery is money.
Which you obviously had.
And I had it. And I spent it.
But it's such a slope though, right? It is such a slope. Because you've got like these from the outside, I think people would probably look and go, oh, she's made it. She's on TV getting paid millions of pounds, Instagram followers, yada, yada, yada. But then it's actually a tale of like a little girl, insecure, desperate to have friends, desperate to be loved, desperate for her dad's then boyfriend's attention. Obviously, like the obvious thing was going to happen, which she obviously did. And then you've obviously grown as an adult, now become a mum, and in a healthy relationship, like you said. And there's like this tale of like two halves of like who you are in these different lanes, if that makes sense.
100%. And this is kind of what I'm always battling with, I guess, that I have changed completely, but I've grown up on TV. So I can't expect people to just like know and have followed along the whole time. So if I'm posting something about a fitness plan, and I had it the other day, I posted about a 28-day challenge that we were doing, and someone was saying, this is false advertising, these influencers need to be stopped. And I'm like, what am I false advertising? And she was like, you photos. I was like, I will send you, these are all screenshots from videos. I was like, I'll send you the videos. There's nothing, I haven't edited them. That's my journey, 30 pounds in 6 months. I'll send you the videos. I'll have the timestamp on them. Like, there you go. And anyway, she ended up deleting her comment. And I was like, no, why couldn't you just apologise under that comment instead of deleting it? Because you've had all of this discourse with me, arguing back and forth, saying that I've edited my picture and that I'm a scammer and, you know, you don't know anything about me because you haven't followed along with the journey, which is fair enough. I don't expect everyone to fucking know that I'm qualified in certain things. Like, some people might have seen me on Geordie Shore. So yes, to see me promoting a fitness plan might seem like, well, what the fuck is she doing? But it's like, when does it end? I feel like every post I put on, I'm having to defend myself.
You're still defending yourself.
Always.
When will it end? Was what you just said.
Yeah.
It'll end when you stop it.
But how? How do I just let people say what they want to say when it's not true?
Mel Robbins would say,
just let them.
Let them. And like, I actually saw her live.
Really? Was it good?
I'll tell you the truth. I think she's incredible. I think the book's incredible. I think she's incredible. Her daughter's incredible as well. Both on stage in London. I saw her a couple of months ago. I actually think this that she's not actually. It's not doing it. It's not done its full service the way that stage show was done.
Really?
I think it's such a powerful message. Actually, when you hear her talking with her daughter about where it came from and actually in depth, I was like, I think the people in the room, from the feedback, from the conversations that I'm having, a lot of a female audience were missing the real point of what she was talking about.
Really?
Because her daughter hit the nail on the head. They kind of changed the book, really. That's why it became what it is. It was like this let them turn into this self-righteous thing.
Right.
And she's like, actually, it turns into, no, it's let them, me, all focus back on herself, because she turns into like, let them, almost like, fuck them.
Yeah.
Fuck them. Which then she's like, let them, but me. And so it then turns its emphasis on, what's this happening for me? And there's loads of stuff they kind of taught. And there's like, you know, catch a nuance in a message. It's like, actually, there's a deeper message in this.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing like what you're kind of, I'm hearing in what you're saying. You want to put the record straight.
All the time.
And that's that probably ADHD injustice thing in you.
And that's been a cancer as well. I've got a very strong sense of injustice.
But if that's the thing, and again, I might be wrong, if that's holding you back, because you're trying to prove yourself to your dad, to these people who commented about you, and obviously it's probably served you. That's probably answering my own question. It's probably served you because you've got to where you are because of that strong character you became to fight your way through. It has gotten you to where you are. But like, there's a famous coaching thing. What got you to 7 figures?
Is it going to get you to 8?
Will not get you to 8. And I was drilled that because you keep using the same strategies, as in we keep using the same strategies. But we have to adapt.
Yeah.
We have to let go of what got you to there, which is kind of a fucking almost backwards thing, because what got you there, the success traits. I went through, obviously, like I told you, some shit going on. And so I kind of let go of parts of myself that is probably the determined, driven, ruthless part of me that got me to where I was, to try and then soften myself, I suppose. But I guess I had to try different parts of the personality on to like rebuild myself, which is kind of what you've discussed, right? You've tried this, whether it's physical, mental, emotional, courses, education, etc. And it's like trying to decide what those things are that you're going to keep and what bits you're going to leave. But from what I'm hearing, it keeps coming up in almost everything you say. This, I want to prove it.
Yeah.
I've got showed it tattooed here. Tell me I can't, I'll show you I can. I've had that on pretty much since I was 16 years old. And it's true, literally, as soon as I hear you can't do that.
Yeah.
Your mouth will get you nowhere, Benjamin. School teachers said. My mum took great privilege in telling somebody, like, Do you know he speaks for a living now? But
Love
I stopped consciously trying to prove myself to people years ago. But probably then there's always was that subtle undertone like, but watch me come. And it got me everywhere.
Yeah.
It got me to where I was. But then also damaged a lot of things that were good in my life also. Because you can't see the blind spots, can you?
Because this is the thing, when I post content, for example, I know that every piece of content that I post, more than likely 99% of the time, I'm gonna have to have a battle with someone in the
You aren't.
comments.
You
But
aren't.
this is previously, which is why I think it's led me to not posting as much and to not be as on it with the business. And I think this is where the blocker is in creating that content.
So that's fucking fascinating. Because what you just said.
I know I'm having to take a day out to argue with this random person in the DM.
Well, you're not having to, you're choosing to.
I choose. And do you know why I choose? Because I feel like they're not the only person seeing that. So people are in the comments. So if they've put something, I know they're not the only ones seeing that. There's other people in there that might think, oh yeah, I agree with them. So because I know there's multiple people watching, I feel like I then have to, and I know I can back myself and I know I'm in the right and I have to prove that. Or I want to prove that.
Yeah, better. I hear you. I get it. Because from a brand point of view, you want to make sure that false information is not getting spread.
Absolutely, that's it.
However,
I feel like I'm getting therapy here.
I'm just telling you things I learned.
Go on.
Because don't get me wrong, I can be not too dissimilar from you in many ways. But just like correcting the record. Hey, Carol got a great transformation with me. This is where you can see it. This is my progress photos. This is where we put it on holly.com/success. As in the success stories. Check it out and leave it. Because you will get your power back because you're giving your power away.
I know.
Every time you do that. And I know why, I think. And again, I'm happy to be wrong. Well, you said there, it stops me posting content. So the reason I think you're doing that and why I think it still serves you is because it's keeping you small.
Yeah.
Because if I have to defend myself and it's going to take me a whole day, I might as well not post.
Yeah.
And therefore, I won't do anything. And therefore, I can stay right back here.
Yeah.
And keep myself small. As soon as someone writes in the comments, fat slag, what the fuck do you know? That's bullshit. That's fake. They are not the man in the arena, right?
True.
They're not the doer of deeds. Who the fuck cares? If anyone has taken their time to write on your post something negative, unless I'm like, I don't do this. I don't even look at people's content. But if someone was commenting like, "Hey, I don't believe this is correct. I think this is you shouldn't put this kind of information on the internet." That's people are entitled to their opinion. So someone says you insult. It's not about you. It's about them. But then you make it about you, and you take that on.
Absolutely.
They're not even in the arena. They're not doing anything. Who spends their time putting stuff on other people's social media?
So true.
But you're letting it keep you small.
And that's what I'm going to have to change. Because I want to be posting more. I need to be posting more. And I want to not have to think every time I post I'm going to have some argument or want to have some argument in the messages and the comments to try and defend myself. Because I know that I've done the work far more than so many other influencers out there who have fitness plans. I'm not an influencer with a fitness plan. I'm a fully qualified professional with a plan. Whereas, and I get it, like you see these influencers every January promoting the same plans, 1,400 calories for everyone, whether you're 20 stone or 10 stone. Like, I get it that people might assume that I am the same. I am not. It costs £200 or whatever to build your own calorie calculator. You can do it on ChatGPT if you want to, but at least make sure your clients are having the right calories. Like, it's not hard. So I get that people are tying me into that kind of realm. And again, I don't want to say the word prove. I always feel like I'm having to prove that I'm not. We'll get into the nitty gritty. I didn't know this was going to be a therapy session.
Well, no, to be honest, we did. we did. Like, so many things are coming up. Like, I've seen, obviously, coaches for years say things like you, but in obviously different ways. None of them got followers like you have. There's so much more potential. I don't mean it's because of the numbers and the background. Like, you're obviously kind, clearly. Clearly care about people. To tell that bullying story the way that you did is just compassion and kindness. But like, you want to be from what you said, you want to impact women, certainly, to make better choices than the ones you did, whilst you're still sat there showing them that a woman can be kept small, not from a man, but from herself.
Yeah.
And so you're in a position of power with those followers and the brand you have. And you are doing them a disservice, not just you, to not step into that power that you have.
Yeah. 100%.
Because I told you already, like when I first had that first call with you, I thought I didn't know what to think of you. I don't really judge anyone on anything. I care about only what people like to me. If someone said, "Oh, this person's," the fact you are telling me that means you are a douche. Like if someone told me they've robbed someone, done something, I'd be like, fair enough, but I want to hear from them, like who they are. I judge people because I want people to judge me how I am, how I treat them, who I actually am, not some nonsense from someone who doesn't even know you, like you, or ever met you.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I spoke to you, incredibly intelligent, fast, clearly done the work, the qualifications, the stuff. But then you asked, like I say, you caught. It's really interesting to hear this. You don't feel like you deserve it still to push in. That's that piece, and that is you doing the work. Is you showing these women that's the work?
Yeah.
Because you're like right at the beginning now of this like journey of your life doing this in this career. That is the fucking story.
Yeah.
That is the absolute story. It's like total complete irony that what you're trying to demonstrate, in my opinion, from what you've said, is the thing you're on the path. You are a woman on the path trying to achieve the same thing they're looking for.
100%.
You've just had a different story and a different set of circumstances, but you're just looking for your way home also.
I am my ideal client. I've always said that. Like, if I could just find me in the sea of women, like, that's who I want to help.
And who would that be? Who are you?
I am somebody who's made a lot of mistakes, who has put the work in to learn and to know better and to use my platform for something more than just dresses and makeup, and to actually put the right information out there, because I've struggled so much in the past with diet culture, surgeries, all that stuff. Unfortunately, or fortunately for me, I had the money, which became unfortunate because I then ended up spending it on surgeries. And, you know, I have women in my DMs all the time saying, I got surgery, I'm really unhappy with it, like, please, can you help me? And people have gone down these routes, and sometimes they feel like there's no turning back from them. But I know that there is, through education and with the right support. And I know that because I care so much, because I'm there, and I'm still there, and I'm still learning, still growing, and I always will be. I'm always going to be a student of everyone. I'm willing to learn from literally everyone. And I think over time, it's just going to build that knowledge. And I'm just going to be sharing that with them. And I'm hoping that we can build a community of like-minded women that we can all do it together.
I genuinely believe what you say. That's rare. I think most people are douchebags. I really do.
What's different about me?
I think like I've already said, like when you speak really well. I said that already. But like just then, the last 20 minutes of half an hour, when you haven't got the media answer, you're like really looking for the answer. You can always tell when someone is genuinely like looking for the answer.
Yeah, because I look that way. I'm like,
Visual recall, visual create. And you're wired the normal way, left and right? You've done the IQs, that's why you mentioned that.
Mm-hmm.
When someone's really looking for the answer, they're on that journey, like not looking for what the right thing to say is. They're looking for the thing that's the truth to them.
Yeah.
Not too many people are doing that. And I think you are, like I say, like on this journey, I think from what I'm seeing, like there's a transformation.
Yeah.
I don't mean that in a cheesy, ridiculous way. There's like this person who was publicly known, still is publicly known, trying to tackle the issues that every woman, I think, in the world, from what I've heard, is suffering with.
Yeah.
Some form of identity, place in the world for themselves, their life, their business, their family, their children. And you're literally like trying to be a role model for that. I think you just haven't found, you're looking for you, right?
Yeah.
You are literally looking for you whilst looking for you.
Yeah. And you know, whenever I'm doing this, because I do some one-to-one coaching, and I have done like a beta test for the Team Fitty Mama program. And my biggest joy literally comes from sitting on those calls at 8:00 at night with my clients, listening to their stories. And you know, most of them have actually become such good friends. Like, I've took them out for dinner, we've done events, like I talk to them about things that aren't to do with fitness. They've actually become really, really good friends. And I just think I know because I've been there and I do genuinely care. And this isn't just like a little side thing for me, you know, when obviously influencers just have it as a little side thing to make a little bit of cash. Like, this isn't that for me. This is my career lifelong. And I think that's the difference, because I genuinely do care. And when people are on calls with me, it takes them about 5 minutes to get used to, you know, the first 5 minutes, like, oh my God, Holly from Geordie Shore. But after that, I'm Holly Hagan, and they're speaking to me and we're talking about fitness and I'm coaching them. And it doesn't take long to get out of that. And now all of those don't see me anything to do with Geordie Shore. Like, I am their coach. They trust me with everything. And I love being that safe space for them, because that's exactly what I needed growing up. I'm trying to become the person that I didn't have.
That's my point. I can see that. I think as well, coach, it's like coach more like, I'm more like a mentor, I think, with people business wise, because mentor kind of gives input versus like asking the rhetorical questions. It's like, what do you think you should do? But if I knew what to do, I'd do it.
I'd fucking do it, yeah.
I think that's where you're almost, you're trying to lead a thing forward of like the people who believe what you believe.
Yeah.
And so I think, like, talking about content, what are the things then that you believe? Because if we want people to follow you and the movement, the community that you're trying to build for the business, for your life, for your, etc., for your audience, what are the things you believe?
In the fitness realm.
Just in general.
Just in general.
Yeah. You are the brand is you.
I believe in honesty. I believe in sharing my truths. I believe in using my experiences to help people. And I also believe that if I can do it, literally anybody else can. And I think when we're talking about, you know, there's so many fitness apps out there. I was one of them. And I just realized that that isn't the best way that I can help people. And I actually lost so much passion for what I was doing after we had a fitness app. As much as we were making more money, I was like, this is not in any way fun, because when somebody's paying you, let's say $29.99 a month, I'm not sitting on a call with you and going back and forth. Like, it completely lost that element. So I'm a person who wants to be sat there with my clients, chatting, talking. I want to know about their lives. I want to know how many kids they've got. I want to know what they do for a job. I want to be able to get into the nitty gritty. So I believe that having a coach that is able to offer that, and that genuinely does give a fuck, and that will guide them through places that I've been, because yes, I might be a little bit further in the journey, but I'm still not at the end of my journey. I think it's a lifelong thing. This isn't just like a 6 weeks plan for Ibiza, let's get abs for Ibiza and then we're done. Like, this is a lifelong thing, and it takes lifelong work to be able to get to where they want to be. And I do want to be able to create content that does reflect that. I think, like you say, I've just been struggling because I've been keeping myself small.
Actually, just when you spoke there, I think you're almost a newbie, right? Because you've actually had all the success you've had. This is your first like career.
Yeah, this is my first career. Like, 2022 we started, we didn't have a website. I literally put on my Instagram, we're going to be running workout classes at 6 a.m. With it, we're going to be doing one-to-one coaching calls. I think I had some recipe books, like a few little daft things that we had. Yeah, we had about 5 recipe books at the time. And yeah, come and join us at 6 a.m. It's £160 a month. We're doing a full block, 4-week block. And we managed to get like 60 people with no website, no fucking ads, didn't even know what a Facebook ad was, with absolutely nothing, just my word. And they had amazing results and we had the best time. So from 2022 to then getting the app, not feeling like the app was the right thing, I feel like we just kind of followed like sheep because everyone had an app, and we felt like to be taken seriously, again, for the taken seriously thing, we had to have an app. And yeah, that didn't give me any joy or pleasure. Completely fell out of love with it. So now I'm just completely turning everything around, focusing on the people who I know I want to focus on, who's mothers who really struggle and who have gained weight in pregnancy, feel like they can't get it off, have put themselves at the bottom of the pile, which we always do as mothers, and to actually allow them to get back to themselves again, to feel confident and to actually love themselves again. And I'm still on that journey as well.
I love that answer. Absolutely love that answer. I think people would think, like we've been speaking about all day, really, why would she, successful as she is, financially set like she is, TV, or all the perception that would have, why would she want to do coaching with people? Why would she want to sit there and like know these people? That's what people think. And I just realized the reason why. Because this is your baby. This is your new business. This is your career starting. So you want to be in it. You like got that raw hustle entrepreneurial vibe right now. I can realize all the pieces just fit into place. Oh, this is you starting out.
Yeah.
That's like a whole, like, you know, there's a quote. People say you're going to have one love of your life.
Yeah.
But you can have more than one life.
Ooh.
I know, that got me once. I was like, oh, you can only have one love of your life, but you can have more than one life. I was like, because I think there's certainly a love of my life.
Oh my God, that makes so much sense.
Doesn't it?
What the hell?
You can only have one love of your life.
I've had 3 lives. I'm in my 3rd.
This is your next life.
Yeah.
And I was just like, that's the Holly of old.
Yeah.
And this is the Holly that's going on to this mission 2022, starting the business, no website, no idea about funnels, coaching models.
Yeah.
And you've got a qualification. I've done it myself many years ago. Like, that's why I don't coach people now like that.
It's the thing when you were doing it, I was in Geordie Shore.
Quite. And now I like to coach people now. I like to speak to people who I like. Don't want to talk to people I don't like.
Yeah.
Like, just don't have to. Don't want to. Won't. Obviously, I'm in a privileged position to be able to do that. Then, like, I've just realized as well, I was talking to you, like, the reason probably the podcast, like, took a break was this is a fucking fascinating conversation for me to listen to you. Obviously, back and forth, I'm enjoying the conversation. I think you're probably getting that from your clients, right? You're enjoying the work.
Love it.
You lost the passion with the app, as I lost the passion for shit.
Yeah.
I want to talk to good people about good stuff.
Absolutely.
And enjoy it. Why would you not? That's why you started it all.
Because when you see that light bulb moment with someone, like when the penny finally drops and they're like, oh, I get it now. It could be as simple as me, like in a webinar, and I'm saying, you know, when you have that Domino's on a Sunday and you get on the scales on a Monday and you're £2 up. Well, you're not actually £2 up. You just ate a lot of salt and a lot of food the night before. And all of a sudden I see the penny drop that, oh, and then you go on to binge eat because you feel like you've ruined it. But actually, if you'd have just waited till Wednesday, the £2 would have come off and you'd be, you know, back to normal. And that's usually the moment where they're like, oh, this is what I've been doing wrong. I've been starving myself all week, Domino's on a weekend. Then it gets to Monday and I'm really sad, throwing the towel in, and then it repeats. The cycle just repeats all the time. And when I see that light bulb and I see their faces and they tell me, and I'm just like, that to me is, you can't put a price on that.
No, you can't. What came up for me then is in DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, a therapy I did, there's a concept called wise mind waits. Because you said it, like the cycle goes on. If you just waited.
Just wait. Yeah, just wait.
Because you've got like rational mind. This is like logical.
Logical, yeah.
And emotional mind.
Oh my God, this is what I say to them.
And in the middle, like Julie would always like, what would be the middle path?
Yeah.
And you'd be like, fuck the middle path. I'm like,
just wait.
Just wait.
And
Wise
I
mind waits.
literally say to them, stop thinking with your emotional brain. Stop getting upset over it. It's just a set of scales. They're weighing the total mass of your body. Like, these are the conversations I have every day. Think with your logical brain. Have you actually overate the whole week? Track your fucking food and you'll know. And even if we see somewhere that you've gone wrong, we can adjust that. Like, it's fine. And once they actually understand it, I'm just like, yes. And you feel like you've had a breakthrough with them. And that breakthrough can change their life. Because I know that I had someone who did that for me. And I know how that felt for me. So for me to be able to do that for somebody else is a fucking pleasure. Like, I love it.
One quote can change someone's life.
Absolutely.
It like sounds cheesy, but I've had many a moment. So some of those therapist conversations, just one comment, and I was like, my whole life before that comment, and then my whole life after that comment. And like everything I believe to be true, gone.
Gone.
And then nothing's ever been the same.
Yeah.
How can one person with one phrase or sentence say that? Like, because at that moment in time, the weight of the words to me in that moment was so great, which is exactly what a coach can input when they know which moment to say the thing. And that's what a good coach can do. Absolutely. Or a mentor or therapist. Fascinating stuff. So we spoke about career, coaching, Geordie Shore, lots of stuff. Family.
Yeah.
You've obviously talked about your husband a little bit.
Yeah.
But he's a footballer.
Yeah.
Tell me about him, how you met. Now, obviously, beautiful little boy.
Mm-hmm.
You've told me about him, obviously, before we started recording, but tell me so everyone else can hear.
So I met Jacob in June 2017, and we were in Ibiza, and I'd very funnily applied for Celeb Score Dating and also Big Brother, Celebrity Big Brother that year. I didn't get any of them, and I was gutted. I was so gutted. I was like, why do all my friends get these jobs and I just don't? Like, I'm too normal, I'm too boring, like, this is so shit. So anyway, I'd met these people like once and they were going to Ibiza, and I was like, I'll come. So I got on a flight to meet people I barely knew, and I think we properly started speaking at Ocean Beach Bar, and he was like, do you want a shot? I was like, yeah, why not? So I was drinking shots with him. I just thought he was really funny. Like, I'm a girl who just gets along with people. I'm not a flirty person whatsoever. There's no ounce of flirt in me at all. I had just lads banter, you would say, at the time. And he just found me really funny, and I wasn't trying to impress him, and I think that's why he liked me. I just thought he was going to be a really good friend. I found him hilarious, and I texted one of his friends saying, tell Jacob he's with me today. He's hilarious. He went, tell him yourself, and sent me his number. So I messaged him. I was the one who reached out first, but it was genuinely just to be friends. Then we ended up partying a few nights together, but nothing at all happened. I just wanted to be friends with him. I was not looking for a boyfriend. I just got out of a horrendous 3-year relationship, and I wanted to be single for at least 3 years. So anyway, got home, but we couldn't stop texting each other. And then it started getting a bit flirty. And then we decided to meet up in our friends' club in Birmingham. And then that was the first night that we kissed. And yeah, next thing I know, 2 years later in the same spot in Ibiza, he's asking me to marry him, which is crazy. So he played football. He was always playing football. I think he was playing for Motherwell when I first got with him. He suffered with a lot of injuries. He's not had the best luck with injuries. Always got his foot in a bucket of ice. Like, honestly, it's that bucket of ice is the bane of my life. Constant injuries. And it was difficult for him as well because, you know, football, when you're not playing at like a really high level, and you haven't got a club and you haven't got another option, like when we went through a lot of that in the beginning as well. So it was very much like, okay, what are we going to do after football? Because, you know, the time's ticking on. So he obviously trained as a PT as well. And obviously we started this business together. And then in 2022, we just started the business where I'd just put it on my Instagram and got people in. And then I got pregnant 1 month after. So I was like, shit, we're 1 block in and I'm pregnant. We were trying, but it was a slightly bad timing for starting a fitness business where I had to do workouts every morning at 6 a.m. So yeah, we did that. Ended up having him in May 2023. And then we had a really hard time that first year. That was like, we'd had 6 years of being the perfect couple. When people used to say there's no such thing as a perfect couple, I'd argue with them. Because I was like, me and Jacob are perfect. You're not going to tell me otherwise. And then after birth, it was like, Jesus Christ. It was like complete opposite ends of the spectrum. It was my patience grew. His patience got smaller. And we clashed so much. Parts of our personality that we'd never seen before were coming out. You'd think after 6 years you'd know each other, right? Well, a child will change all of that.
In what way?
Jacob wasn't playing football at the time because he was injured. I think he had no release.
Did you tell him, like, this is because you're not playing football?
Well, I was very anxious in the beginning, so I didn't sleep for literally a year. I had very bad postpartum anxiety. And Jacob wasn't playing football, so he had no outlet for anything. So you know how men just need to speak to men sometimes? He had nothing for that whole year. So he was very snappy. I was snappy. We were dealing with a lack of sleep. We had a very difficult baby that was grunting all the time. So we had to change his milk, go to the osteopath. And then from 4 months on, our child just whinged all day, every day. Nothing could make him happy. And I know now that obviously he was just very like early with a lot of things. And I think because his mind was wanting to go faster than his body, he was just really frustrated all the time. So now he's 2, he's great. He's got brilliant banter. Like, he's so funny for a 2-year-old, like the funniest person alive. And it's great now. but it wasn't always. And I can see why a lot of people would split up. And if we didn't have those 6 years of good memories, I think it would have been very easy to throw the towel in those times because, wow, it was a lot.
And so now you're planning
So we're planning another one. Yeah, we said for ages, we were like, absolutely not. That would be the worst thing in the world. I could never do this again. But now we know that the bad stage ends. And listen, there's good and bad stages all the time. Some people find that age easy. Everyone says terrible twos. We're having a great time at 2. I can see how this might be hard if you've had an easy baby, but I'll take anything. Anything is better than what we went through with the constant mourning. But he is actually brilliant now. And a lot of people don't talk about how difficult it is to just transition from being yourself to being responsible for a whole human, to then realise you've got ADHD, to be riddled with fucking anxiety since you were 4. Like, once you have a baby, all of these things get bigger. And a lot of women get diagnosed with ADHD after pregnancy because all of a sudden the coping mechanisms that they once had, they're gone.
It's fucking hard, isn't it? Well, anyone, but women is certainly how you describe it.
Yeah.
I've seen it recently firsthand with a female getting diagnosed with ADHD.
Yeah.
And all the coping strategies in their life's gone. And like...
It's a lot.
It's a lot.
It's a lot to deal with. And then you've got pressure of like the public judging you. And if you're honest about your feelings, you get judged and people consider you a bad parent.
We don't know what the fucking feelings are.
Yeah.
Feelings are changing, like... Not even the wind stays more consistent than the feelings moving and changing. And then there's the stress that comes with not knowing what the fuck's going on for you. Surely, like, having a baby, your hormones are all over the place.
I literally thought he was going to die every time he went to sleep. Like, that's how deep it was. I thought if I take my eyes off him, he's going to die. Because I was just all you hear was SIDS this, SIDS that, suffocation and whatever. And it just frightened me so much. I think, back in the day, they didn't have social media. They didn't see things like that. So it was a bit easier. I had him with a monitor on, with an owlet sock, which was like a sock that lights up. And every night I'd just be staring at this green light. And I'd be like, oh my God, my heart. I suffered with phantom crying as well. That's actually gone now, I've just realised. I suffered with phantom crying for years.
Phantom crying is when you think they're crying, but they're not.
I think I'm going, Jacob, he's crying. Jacob, he's crying. He's going, Holly, he's not. He's not crying. I'm going, Jacob, I can literally hear him crying. He's like, he's not. And it was just me. All I could hear every night was him screaming. And he wasn't.
Wow.
I know. And that drove
intense.
me insane. It's gone now, though. I've just realised.
Well, hopefully it don't come back.
Yay! It only took 2 years to get rid of it.
But it wasn't always as good as that. I obviously said before we started recording, obviously from the research, you had a miscarriage.
Yeah.
And I said 2025, and then realised 2025 is this year.
This year, yeah.
So it's now September.
Yeah.
2025. Miscarriage was in March.
In March, yeah.
And you talked about it publicly in July.
Yeah, yes, I did. I talked about it publicly first in July. I think, do you know what it is? There's so many people going through so much. And I actually felt a bit silly to talk about it or to be upset about it publicly because, one, it was our first time trying. So I was like, it was our first time, like, come on, loads of people are struggling for years to fall pregnant. So I fell pregnant first time and I lost the baby at like 6 weeks. So it was a clump of cells, essentially. So I was just like, I was really upset about it and I did want to talk about it. But I did just feel a bit silly because I was like, God, one of my best friends is literally 28 months into trying to have a baby. Other people are losing babies at 24 weeks and like they're fully formed. They've felt them kick. Like, that's nothing in comparison. And I know that it's not a game of who's done better or whatever. We shouldn't be tearing it like that. But
yeah, you still are.
I am. And I did. And I didn't want to speak about it until I was over it.
Why is your pain not as justified as someone else's?
Because I just felt like I felt like this is best case scenario. It could have been a lot worse. So that's how I kind of got myself over it. I was like, this is best case scenario. We fell pregnant first time.
Very good at rationalising.
I know.
Deep emotional trauma. Like, I lost a baby, but it could be worse. It could, of course, like logically.
Logically, it could have.
But still, like, a way to invalidate your own feelings.
Yeah, I know. And I shouldn't, and I would never invalidate someone else's neither. This is the thing.
You'd never invalidate someone else's.
No.
But you would your own.
My own, I know. I'm just not good at it. It's myself. I need to take my own advice. But I just thought I dealt with it by myself and didn't really tell anyone except Jacob. There was only really him and Charlotte and Sophie who knew. And that was it. I didn't speak about it. But then, you know, months passed and I was feeling a bit better about it. And someone asked the question. I kept getting asked about, you need to have another baby? I was like, well, I will if one stays alive in the womb. And it was just, yeah.
Casual way to say it.
Yeah. And now I'm struggling to get pregnant after that. So it's like, you know.
Double whack, innit?
So yeah, I fell pregnant then. It's been pretty much, 7-8 months now. Haven't fell pregnant again. So it's just.
So you've been trying for 7 or 8 months?
Been trying for 7-8 months now. So I fell pregnant after 4 months with Alpha Jacks. So I'm not anywhere classed as like secondary infertility yet. That would be after like a year, I think. But you know, when you imagine the age gap that you want and you know that it gets better now, and I'm like, oh, it would be great to just start this process again so that I can, sounds awful, but get to the age of 2 where it's actually really nice. And
yeah, but there is some tactical time, isn't there?
Yeah, but I really enjoyed the newborn stage as well. I thought that was really nice. It was just 4 to 16 months that was not so good. But I honestly think that because we had like quite a difficult baby to begin with, anything else we're going to see as a bonus, it's going to be a lot easier. So we've already had kind of the most difficult scenario in terms of whinging and dealing with a child who cannot be kept happy, that we were just really excited to go again. But yeah, it's not happened. But I honestly think, you know, I talk a lot about nervous system regulation. I don't think I've been open to having another baby, like internally. I think I've been operating from a place of, I haven't got the time, I haven't got the energy, I'm so busy with everything. It might be better if it happens another time. I think energetically, I haven't been putting that out. So that's what I'm going to be working on this month, to just energetically get in a place where it's like, actually, do you know what, Holly, you're fucking doing all right. And this is somebody's like dream life. So I can't mourn. Yes, the business isn't where I want it to be, but my other business is. So I'm always focusing on the negatives, but I'm just trying to bring it back to focusing on the positives. And I think I was struggling with sleep a lot as well. And as soon as I sat myself down and was like, right, you're actually doing okay, remember that and stop focusing on the things that aren't going right and focus on the things that are. And all of a sudden I could sleep again. And I've been struggling for sleep for like a year.
But from all the stuff that's happened in your life, it sounds like you had consistent trauma in some way, shape or form. It's almost like you're programmed to look for the next danger that's coming around the corner, because throughout your life you've had the next danger come around the corner.
Well, that's anxiety, isn't it? It's like preempting what could happen, not what's actually happened. And oh God, if I could get rid of anxiety, I've planned Jacob's funeral in my head.
Wow.
He's not dying. I've literally laid in bed at night, like planning what I'd say at his funeral. He's literally there alive next to me. But like for some reason, that's what's going on in my head.
Gary Brecker talks about this. He's a human biologist. Don't know if you've seen him.
No.
Grant Cardone bought his company 10X, well, it wasn't called 10X Health, but it's now called 10X Health Systems. I'll show you some information, because he talks about this he says anxiety is not real. It's a chemical imbalance of the amount of tabs that are being opened in your brain.
Yeah.
And so obviously there's a couple of over-the-counter supplements that all, like ADHD, obviously I take them on top of the normal medication. Does have a lot in it, because anxiety is what's the technical term? Anxiety is the fear of something not real manifesting as real.
Yeah.
So like, what is that for you that's causing a fear of something that's not real, that you know is not real, to still manifest as true? Because you're bringing it into your body, right? As you say about your energy.
All the time. I've done it my whole life. I've always been anxious about things, and 90% of the time they don't happen. 99% of the time they don't happen.
But the 1%?
Probably getting cheated on.
and the fact you were prepared for it, that when the bad things happen, did it make the bad things any better?
Well, I didn't find out until like 7 years after the fact. So
Wow, okay.
It was, it just caused a lot of, you know, when you know that something's happened, but you can't prove it. Internally, you know, your gut knows, but you can't prove it. So obviously 7 years later, when they did admit it. It was a weight off my shoulders that I could actually trust my gut and my instinct, because I knew that something was wrong. But for that whole time, I felt like I was going crazy. And that's probably, that is worse than the cheating. I would rather just be hurt by the cheating than feel like I was going crazy for 7 years.
Hurt by the truth than hurt by the lie.
Absolutely. Better to be hurt by the truth.
I couldn't agree with you more.
It only hurts once, then you can get over it.
But it's also the damage gets done by the trust being damaged again.
100%.
And in the way that's like, mistakes get made, things get happen, even if people choose to do them. You know, just didn't slip, did they? But then it's the lie, feels like, deliberate or constructed.
Yeah, 100%. And I think that's what hurt the most. But I was glad to know, and I was appreciative at the time to know. And yeah, it just made me, it was a weight off my shoulders to just know that I can trust my gut, and it was right the whole time. And yeah, I was able to move on then, and it was the closure that I needed. I know people say, oh, well, you were moving on, you were getting married, you shouldn't have needed that closure from an ex. But I'm sorry, when things have happened so publicly and have made you feel like that for a long time, that you couldn't trust your own instincts, sometimes you do need that closure, and sometimes it's nice to have.
Yeah, because you're looking, well, again, but someone who's driven by validation, you want validation like, oh,
100%.
it's not just me, you know, like.
Yeah, I'm not a psychopath.
I promise. So maybe before this conversation that we just had and after this conversation, do you have a different stance on, evolved stance on the next question? Thinking about where Holly Hagan goes next. Business is one of the goals on your vision board, I'm sure, as having more babies is, by the sound of it. We've obviously talked about being small or keeping yourself small. We talked about your audience. We talked about the want for the community to build that out. What is next for you, Holly Hagan?
For me, I guess I need to go away from here and do some more inner work, and to know that I have been keeping myself small, and there's been things that I have been manifesting that isn't actually anything to do with anyone else's perception of me. It's actually the perception that I've got of myself. So doing the work on that first, whilst I'm also helping and creating the best mama membership that it could possibly exist in the world, and be the mentor that people need, and be that honest figure that has made all the mistakes, and that we're going to go through the journey together. And I guess the more that I learn, the more that I'm going to be able to teach other people. But if I'm operating from a place of like keeping myself small, I don't really have any right to do that. So I do appreciate the conversation today, because it has been eye-opening and a slight bit of therapy as well.
You mentioned Fitting Mama there. Where do you want people, obviously people know you on social media. People, I'm sure they'll be all over the page, this particular video, and people can find you. But with Fitting Mama coming out with new launch, slightly different take on what you've been up to. Where can people find you, and then tell us what they're going to find when they find you there?
So you can find us at teamfittymama.com, and on there you will find a wait list if you're interested in the Team Fit Your Mama program. You can pop your name on there. You can also get a load of freebies on there as well. So yeah, come along, and I hope to see you in the community. What
actually is the difference if someone's either heard of it before, whether it's the app offer or the different sort of things you've done so far versus the new updated model version? What would be the shifts and changes? What kind of things have you learned and then adapted or evolved?
So since doing a few different models of coaching with the app, I've done one-to-one coaching, and I've also done like a hybrid group coaching. I realised that there's only a small amount of people that can succeed with an app alone. A lot of those people are not mothers, because a lot of us need that accountability. Now with one-to-one coaching, obviously you are paying a much higher premium, but you do get access to me, you know, more. But it's not affordable for the majority of people out there, and it's not something that they can do long term. So having that hybrid of where it's more of a group coaching program, where they'll be with me for 12 months, because I do believe that this is a long-term thing. It's not just abs for Ibiza, like I say. It is something that does need to be looked at over time. So weight loss, reverse dieting, maintenance, all the things, along with the mindset stuff, it does take a longer period of time. So the Team Fit Your Mama membership will be a 12-month membership. They will have a full curriculum in there, which is a really fun curriculum as well. I'm not a boring person when I deliver all of my stuff, which is going to teach them everything they need to know in a really easy and simple way. Like, I'm not there to use loads of big words for them. It's literally just getting the basics nailed down and making sure they understand the science behind things, but in a fun way. We're also going to be focusing a lot on nervous system regulation, which I really don't think anybody else is touching on. And I know is the one thing for me that is preventing me from getting to my goal. And if it's doing that for me, I know that it's going to be the case for other people as well. So not only that, but also having the community with the fitness app alongside. So having your own meal plan tailored for you, strength program tailored to them, and also the library of like 250 workouts that can pop on in front of the TV, do it with the kids, something for them to get involved in as well. And I just really want to create this membership that is going to be full of supportive women who are educated, who are confident, and who are regulated.
There's a niche for me in that, isn't there?
Absolutely. And I think a lot of people don't know that their nervous system is dysregulated because it's not really spoken about a lot here. It's spoken about a lot in America, but here it's not a focus. And once I started learning about it, I was like, shit, this is the thing. Why am I in the fridge eating a biscuit every time I feel stressed? Why do I need that crunch? That's something to do with ADHD as well, but it's my nervous system. I need to be able to regulate it without having a fucking biscuit in my mouth. And now that I'm learning how to do that, I can teach them how to do that as well. And honestly, it is life-changing, not only in fat loss, but in their entire lives, whether they're going to be less reactive around the children, less snappy with their partner. Like, it's not just going to help them in fat loss. It is going to transform their lives, and I would put money on it.
What are some of the symptoms of somebody who's not regulated in the central nervous system?
Yeah, so let's say you're operating from like the fire side. So anxiety, snappy, really reactive, saying things that you don't mean. So I do it all the time. I'm always in that fight zone. And then you've got freeze, which is at the bottom. So freeze would look like not being able to get out of bed, not feeling bothered, apathy, like all of the things that are just like, oh, your body feels really heavy. So then sometimes we can go between the two, and I do. Some days I feel really heavy, like I can't get out of bed. Other days I feel like I'm just super snappy and I'm just constantly in this like wave. But then to actually start practicing how to get back into that zone with certain different practices, you can get back into that regulated zone and actually take some time before reacting, breathe before you snap at your children. And it, there's so much guilt and shame that comes with that as well, especially with your kids and your partner. And if you can get back into that state quickly, which does take time, so you're not going to be able to unlearn all of these things overnight. It's going to take a lot of practice and a lot of work. But if you're willing to put in 5 minutes a day to try and regulate your nervous system, I can guarantee that your whole life is going to be changed because of it.
I absolutely couldn't agree with you more. I just, you wish you knew what you do now then.
What you wish your parents knew.
Back to what we said at the beginning. What were they doing?
I know.
But then again, they also were trying their best with what they had.
100%. And listen,
but that was not good enough.
I could sit and slag them off to high heaven, but they didn't have access to social media. They didn't know, this is going into another topic here, but my mum didn't like her body. She never liked her legs. So whenever we'd be on holiday, she'd put a sarong on. Whenever she got in the pool, she'd leave a sarong dead at the stairs. So when she'd get out, she could quickly put it on as if she was going to offend people with the look of her cellulite. Now, what happened when I grew up and had the same legs? Never wore skirts. If I did wear a skirt, I'd wear tights because we can't wear skirts. We have to wear trousers. And it's the language that came with it. And, she didn't know what she was doing. She didn't know how it was going to affect me. But even now, sometimes I feel awful because she won't get in a photo. And I'm like, Mum, I look like you. I'm literally your spitting image, especially now I've had all the fillers dissolved. I didn't look like her for a while, but I do look like her now. And I remember growing up thinking she was the most beautiful woman in the world. And it's sad to see that, she wants pictures of herself deleted and all of those things. And I do hope that one day she can just feel free of that. But I know that she doesn't know any better. And she also didn't know how it was going to affect us. And I'm just like, Mum, I look like you. Stop saying you're ugly. Like, I'm your image. So I know that I can't be like that around my children.
It's hard though, right? All of it.
And this is what I say to a lot of people when I do webinars as well. I always end it with, you've got to end it with a little bit of emotion. And I'm like, if you've ever spoken about yourself badly around your children, don't feel bad. Don't beat yourself up. You didn't know what you didn't know. But just remember that you have the opportunity here to be the person who you needed. And regardless of how you look, regardless of what weight you are, your kids don't see that. All they see is the fact that they look in the mirror and they look like you. So speak nicely about yourself, even if it's a lie, because the more you see it, the more you start to believe it. Fake it till you make it. Like, look in the mirror every day and find something nice to say about yourself. Stop starting your day looking in the mirror and saying, oh, I look fat, I can't fit in my jeans. Like, I need to take this advice as well, you know. But in front of your children, it's so important that we make sure that we don't say the things that have a huge effect, and that we make sure that we are prioritizing exercise as best as we can, and that we are setting an example, because it is so much bigger than how we look in the mirror.
Amen.
Preach.
You just said there you end your webinars with a bit of emotion.
Yeah.
So I'll do the same.
Go on.
If today was your last day on earth, what would you want the audience to take away from your story?
Oh, I'd want people to take away that you can make mistakes, but it doesn't define who you are as a person. You shouldn't allow your mistakes to keep you small, and you can change the trajectory of your life with listening to others, through education and being open to being challenged, and to also just operate with honesty and knowing that by sharing your story, because everyone's got a story, that it's always going to help someone. So I hope that they know that and don't get a BBL.
Appreciate you coming on today. It's been a really interesting conversation. I've really enjoyed actually all of this.
Thank you so much. I feel like it's been a therapy session for me, to be honest. So I've got a lot to take away from this, and yeah, I'm super grateful. So thank you.
I'm looking forward to having the next version of this conversation, see what you do.
I know. Can we have this again in like a year and see where we're at?
I'm really interested in what that would be like.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be interesting.
I'm ready to do the work.